The main character is Zhang Hao. Let me tell you a bit about him. He's a direct, confident guy who hangs out with his buddies every evening after work, drinking and hitting on women without a second thought. But something feels completely wrong to him now, like he's in the middle of the wrong kind of story. He starts wondering what's going on. Is this some strange dream, a gender swap situation? He remembers that after a stressful day at work, everything felt overwhelming. Then suddenly, everything turned red. The entire city seemed to vanish without a trace. When he regained consciousness, he found himself in the body of a young, handsome boy. However, all his original memories were still intact. Suddenly, someone knocks on his door. It's his father, asking why he's still not awake. His dad reminds him about plans to go shopping with someone named Long Long and says he's heading out to buy groceries. They're supposed to have dinner later with Aunt Chung. His father also tells him to take better care of himself since he's a boy and suggests he learn to apply makeup. Maybe Long Long can help. Zhang Hao is totally confused. Makeup, who even is Long Long? Why is he called Hao Hao now? And why is there so much cute stuff around him? Then his phone rings. Someone is yelling for Hao Hao to open the door. He wonders if it's his old buddy Long from his past life, a tough guy with tattoos who loved beer nights. He quickly changes out of the cutesy clothes and runs to the door. But the person outside isn't his bro. It's a blonde guy, complaining about being kept waiting and saying creepy girls could have targeted him. Zhang Hao is confused and asks where Long Long is. But then his dad responds and says that Long Long is already there. His father praises Long Long's fashion sense and tells Zhang Hao he should learn from him. He even criticizes Zhang Hao's dry skin and says he needs to pay more attention to skincare. Zhang Hao is in shock. Makeup, skincare, what kind of world is this? Just then some memories hit him. The person who used to live in this body had experienced life in a totally different world. In this place, gender roles are flipped. Since ancient times, all the empires have been ruled by women. Men stay at home, take care of the kids, and are physically weaker, with less stamina and power. All Zhang Hao wants is to understand how he ended up in this strange world. Later, while walking through the city, Long Long excitedly suggests getting their nails done and buying some facial masks. He also warns Zhang Hao to carry pepper spray because female gangs in the city are becoming more aggressive. Zhang Hao loses it. He tells Long Long to stop acting so cute and says if he wants a face mask, he can go buy it himself. Zhang Hao drags him to a tattoo studio, determined to reclaim his masculinity. He storms in and demands a fierce tattoo, maybe a dragon or a mafia-style design. But the girls in the shop stop him, saying tattoos are for women and a man should only get one if he's a troublemaker. Zhang Hao takes off his shirt, refusing to be talked down to. When the girls see him shirtless, they whistle and say they'll pay if he keeps going. Still, he insists on a tattoo of a blue dragon, a phoenix, and a white tiger. Long Long yells at him to stop, calling his behavior inappropriate. Later, back at home, Zhang Hao feels like the day keeps getting worse. But then the most attractive stepsister he's ever seen walks in. Without thinking, he enters her room, then quickly runs out, embarrassed. That evening at dinner, his dad explains that Aunt John and Chin Chin will be staying at their house for a while. Zhang Hao suddenly realized that in this world, his dad had remarried. His stepmother was Zhang Yan, and his stepsister was Zhang Kaienkin. In just a few days, they would all be moving into a big house together. Chin Chin, however, won't stop staring at him. Back in his room, he feels exhausted. His body is really weak because the previous owner never exercised. He imagines himself all dolled up in makeup and pretty clothes and gets frustrated. He couldn't even get a tattoo today. He's stuck in a world where women rule and the people he knew, his dad, his brother, are completely different now. If everything is reversed, does that mean he has to act feminine too? He yells that he'll never do it and throws a teddy bear in frustration. But then he notices the bear looks tiny compared to his sister's 2 giant plush spheres. He apologizes, but then Chin Chin storms in without hesitation and throws him onto the floor. She pulls him in close, saying she missed him. He has no idea how to respond. She notices his face turning red and asks if he's feeling sick. Maybe she should check. Zhang Hao, with a blank stare, weakly says that he's fine. Later that night, someone yells at him to wake up. His eyes are still half closed. He sees another one of those curvy, dangerous-looking women standing next to his bed. He panics and asks who she is. She looks at him and seems surprised that he doesn't recognize her. Then she grabs his chin and explains that she's the one who brought him into this strange world. Zhang Hao starts to remember that red moon from before. It felt just like this moment. So he realizes it really was her. He demands to know why she brought him here and what he ever did to deserve this. She tells him she is the goddess of the blood moon. She had heard his complaints, especially the ones about still being a virgin in his old world. In this new place, she says, there are plenty of women who would happily wear him out. But he doesn't care about that. He just wants to go home. He says there's not one normal woman here, and he begs her to send him back. She stares at him, clearly annoyed. She calls him ungrateful and tells him there is one way out. If he completes a task, she will let him return. He asks what the task is. She reminds him of all the things he used to say in the old world. He wanted to be a real man, lift weights, and live by those ideals. The task is simple: become a true man in this reversed world. If he manages to do that, he might find a way back. But if he fails, he will have no choice but to fully adjust to life here. He asks if that means he'll turn into some kind of womanizer. She just shrugs and says maybe, but questions if that would really be so bad. Then she disappears, telling him to give this world a fair shot. He could actually enjoy it every single day if he wanted to. The next morning, he wakes up thinking it was all just a strange dream. But when he looks around and sees his surroundings, he realizes it wasn't a dream at all. As he gets dressed, he thinks about everything that's happened. He isn't sure how he feels, but one thing is clear: he looks way too good-looking to be a guy. He decides he needs to start learning more about how this place works. After going through a bunch of newspapers and articles, he can't believe what he's reading. A 20-year-old male college student got sued because he refused to marry a rich farm girl. Another guy got sentenced for killing his wife. Everything is completely flipped, even the criminal justice system. But that's not the worst of it. This world has a scientific way to check if a guy is still a virgin. Apparently, men here are just too delicate. Their bodies are similar to how women were in his original world. They even have something like male menstruation. This whole place feels like a nightmare to him. He wonders if there's any other way back. Besides talking to that red moon goddess again, maybe he could figure out exactly what happened that night when he arrived. If he could recreate the event, he might be able to go home. But then reality hits. How is he supposed to do that? He's just a broke high school student. He doesn't know anyone important. Frustrated, he decides to set the plan aside for now. Just then, someone calls out to him. His stepsister comes in and asks if he's coming to eat her delicious breakfast. He blinks, still trying to process everything. Breakfast does sound nice, though. As he heads out to eat, he admits to himself that maybe, just maybe, this world isn't all bad after all. The chapter begins with Zhang Hao getting ready for school. He looks at himself in the mirror and admits that his face is actually kind of attractive, but still way too soft-looking for his liking. Today is going to be his first day going to school in this strange new world. The thought of returning to school brings up all kinds of mixed feelings. When he goes to the kitchen, he sees something that makes him uncomfortable. His stepmother is playfully smacking his father's backside. Not wanting to stick around for any of that, Zhang Hao quickly leaves the house. On the way to school, he's joined by his ever-lively best friend, Long Long. Long Long shows off a new lipstick color, asking Zhang Hao what he thinks. But Zhang Hao brushes him off with a cold response. Long Long seems shocked and asks what's wrong with him. He reminds Zhang Hao that they used to do this all the time, and now he's acting so different. Zhang Hao tells him that his idea of being a man is completely different now. He says he wants to be a real man, a confident, strong guy. But Long Long looks worried and says that if Zhang Hao keeps thinking like that, no one will want to marry him. That annoys Zhang Hao. He demands to know what Long Long means by that. But before things escalate, Long Long points out that someone is staring at them. Zhang Hao glances over and sees a girl who looks rough and edgy, definitely not someone he'd be afraid of. He jokes that two grown guys like them shouldn't be scared of someone like her. If she tried anything, he'd treat her the same as anyone else. To him, fairness means treating everyone equally. Long Long starts panicking and tells him to stop saying ridiculous things. He reminds Zhang Hao that he's weak now. He couldn't even lift a single brick. Zhang Hao refuses to believe that. Back in his old life, he used to hit the gym regularly and even joined a martial arts club. Without waiting, he grabs Long Long and starts running towards school. Long Long groans, complaining that he hates running, and now his makeup will need a full redo. Zhang Hao wonders why they're even running, and more importantly, why his body feels so weak. Eventually, they arrive at Elysium Business School, a private school that his current family can afford thanks to their wealth. Even here, it's clear how different this world is. Women are the strong ones now, and everything is reversed from what he once knew. Once inside the classroom, Zhang Hao watches a male student ask a girl to help him open a water bottle. Zhang Hao is stunned. is this guy really unable to open a simple bottle? He grabs the bottle, determined to prove he still has some strength left. But the cap is much tighter than expected. He struggles, trying every bit of strength he has, but the bottle refuses to budge. His hand starts to ache, and in front of everyone, he gives up. Defeated, he quietly thinks about how far he's fallen. How can he call himself a man if he can't even open a bottle of water? The girl easily opens it afterward and gives it back to the other boy. Then more girls crowd around Zhang Hao, asking if he needs help too. One of them offers to open it for him, smiling sweetly. He sits down at his desk, too embarrassed to respond. A part of him wants to admit this world isn't so bad, but right now, he just feels completely humiliated. Long Long notices his mood and comments that he's been acting weird lately. But then he just laughs and adds that Zhang Hao must be suffering from emotional damage. The chapter begins with Zhang Hao walking down the school hallway. Long Long tries to keep up and suggests they go to the restroom together. Zhang Hao simply speeds up and says he can go by himself. As he walks, girls in the hallway start whispering to each other. They admire how smooth his skin looks, how perfect and soft his figure is, and how cute his appearance is overall. Some even talk about wanting to touch him. Zhang Hao feels awkward. Now he understands what it's like to be on the receiving end of unwanted attention. It hits him, he needs to do something about how physically weak he is. He wants to train and get stronger. He pulls out his phone and searches for beginner classes in Muay Thai. One place looks promising. He figures it might help, but strength alone isn't enough. To become a real tough guy, he also needs mental toughness. Being a true alpha male isn't just about muscles, it's a mindset. He tells himself that someone needs to step up and carry the weight, and that someone will be him. Just then, a classmate named Yuan Yuan appears out of nowhere and startles him. He's surprised by how quietly she snuck up behind him. She explains that she had been calling his name, but he was too focused on his phone to notice. Suddenly, she steps in way too close and asks if he's doing anything shady, like talking to another girl. He panics and insists that he would never do that. He claims to be old-fashioned and says men and women shouldn't get too close in public. But she doesn't back off. She grabs his hand and compliments how soft and beautiful they are. Zhang Hao thinks to himself that these girls are way too forward in this world. He tries to remind her to act more modestly. She points out that he's not behaving like usual today. She guesses maybe he hasn't been sleeping well. She says she knows a special way to help, offering to give him a massage. Before he can react, she moves in to touch him again. He tries to resist, but she's too strong. He can't even push her away. Just when he feels completely overwhelmed, the teacher enters the room and tells everyone to get back to their seats. It's time for class. The English teacher, Miss Maddine, starts the lesson. Zhang Hao reads the book and is surprised to find that he understands everything easily, even though in his old life he had already graduated long ago. At least in this version of the world, he's a top-performing student. He looks at the teacher confidently, ready to answer anything. But instead of asking him a question from the book, she adjusts her glasses and asks if he's feeling all right. Maybe he's overheated and should visit the nurse's office. Zhang Hao is confused and tells her he feels perfectly fine. The girls in class start whispering again, saying that he's definitely acting strange today. At that point, Zhang Hao gives up on trying to figure it all out. He decides to just go with the flow and do whatever he feels like from now on. Zhang Hao walks down the school path with Long Long, who notices something's off. Long Long asks if he's okay, saying he looks completely drained. Zhang Hao replies that he's beyond tired, not just physically, his mind is worn out. Suddenly, a girl carrying 3 basketballs skips up to him, bragging about how she just nailed a 3-point shot. Zhang Hao stares in disbelief, unsure how to react. As they head downstairs, a random guy throws himself onto the floor and starts blaming Zhang Hao, claiming he was pushed. Zhang Hao is stunned. He realizes that being popular with girls is one thing, but getting blamed for nonsense and having people grab him is taking it too far. He silently curses this reversed world and just wishes he could go back to the old Earth. Then another girl approaches him out of nowhere. She confesses that she has liked him since they met and asks him out. Zhang Hao mentally groans. This is exactly why he can't stand this world. He tells her he's not interested in dating right now. His mental state is falling apart. He walks away while Long Long trails behind, sounding jealous. Long Long points out that Zhang Hao has already received 20 love confessions today and says he doesn't want to be a popular boy like that. But Zhang Hao just wants to change the topic and suggests they get some food. In the cafeteria line, Zhang Hao thinks about what to order. He He looks at the other boys' trays and notices how small the portions are. He asks Long Long why everyone is eating so little. Long Long explains that guys in this world have to eat light or they'll gain weight. He then steps forward and orders only salad and some fried vegetables. Zhang Hao is confused. He warns Long Long that he's going to faint in the afternoon at this rate. But Long Long insists he's just trying to lose a bit of weight. That's when Zhang Hao has a realization. The nutritional needs for men in this world must be totally different. He mentally puts together a plan. First, he's going to start exercising. Then he'll ask Long Long to help train him. Next, he plans to get rid of all the girly clothes. Finally, he wants to stop looking like a pretty boy and become a real man. With new resolve, he runs to the counter and demands a full meal. Pork, steak, rice, big portions. He wants everything on the menu. A proper feast. Long Long watches in shock, warning him he'll get fat. But Zhang Hao replies that real men eat to fuel their training. Long Long wouldn't understand. Around them, the cafeteria goes quiet. Everyone stares. Whispers spread. Students are puzzled. Why is he eating so much? Is he just trying to show off? Then Liu Feng shows up and mocks him, saying he eats like a desperate foreign laborer. Zhang Hao turns to him and calmly asks who he even is. Liu Feng says they studied together. Then he throws another jab, suggesting Zhang Hao has gained so much weight it's affecting his brain. Zhang Hao stays calm but calls him out, first for insulting hardworking immigrants, then for shamming people for their weight. He tells Liu Feng that he's being offensive on all fronts, classist and fatphobic. Liu Feng stumbles back and begins to cry, saying he didn't mean it that way. He claims he was only looking out for Zhang Hao. A few girls nearby quickly take Liu Feng's side, asking why Zhang Hao made him cry. They say it was too harsh. The mood turns against him, and public opinion starts to shift. But just then, another girl speaks up. She says how much Zhang Hao eats is his own business. If people are saying boys can't eat a lot, that's just discrimination. She turns to him kindly, saying he must be really hungry today, and if he needs more, she's happy to help. Zhang Hao is caught off guard and pauses. He begins to think. Zhang Hao looks at the girl in front of him. He admits she's pretty. But then Liu Feng suddenly shouts their names, Zhao Wang and Zhang Hao. Without missing a beat, Zhang Hao cuts him off and tells him to either say something useful or leave him alone so he can eat in peace. He jokingly refers to himself as master while telling Liu Feng to go. Long Long tilts his head in confusion and asks why Zhang Hao is calling himself master. It doesn't really make any sense, but Zhao Wang finds it charming. She says it makes him more attractive, like a fierce little wildcat. Liu Feng storms off, muttering about how they're all shameless. Meanwhile, Jiayun offers Zhang Hao more food, saying he seems to have all the time in the world to eat. Zhang Hao quietly asks Long Long who this girl is. Long Long replies in disbelief, wondering if Zhang Hao hit his head. That, Zhao Wang, she's had a crush on him for a long time. Then Zhao Wang turns to Long Long and brings up a game she introduced him to, League of Legends. She asks if he's tried it yet. Long Long hesitates and says it's too complicated. He adds that boys aren't suited to play such games and that something like Candy Crush would be better. Zhang Hao jumps in. He knows exactly what kind of game League of Legends is. It's a 5 versus 5 multiplayer online battle arena with player versus player gameplay. Long Long is stunned. He says Zhang Hao once claimed games were only for girls. Zhang Hao pushes back, asking why only girls play games in this world and how that even makes sense. Jiayun clarifies that boys do play games here. They're just not as skilled as girls at the professional level, but she invites Zhang Hao to play with her sometime. Zhang Hao stands up and casually says he usually plays support or jungle. Then he announces he's heading back to the classroom. They leave together. Zhao Wang sighs, watching them go, wondering when Zhang Hao will ever notice her feelings. Back in class, Zhang Hao sits down and starts thinking. There are no pro players like Dasher or Uzi here, but are the girls really that skilled in this world? Maybe the competitive level isn't the same. He decides he needs to watch a match and see for himself. Then something catches his eye. He sees a quiet girl sitting alone by the window. He asks Long Long who she is. Long Long tells him her name is Manhua. She's a transfer student. Then Long Long shyly asks if Zhang Hao is interested in her. Zhang Hao admits that she's attractive, but she doesn't say much, so it's hard to tell. Without waiting, he grabs Long Long and says they should talk to her. Long Long hesitates, saying it's supposed to be the girl's role to make the first move. Zhang Hao shakes his head and says that, outdated thinking. Now, guys need to step up. He walks over and introduces himself as Zhang Hao and also introduces Long. Normally, girls would rush to be around him. But Manhua just looks at them with no reaction at all. Zhang Hao becomes curious. What's her story? He nudges Long Long to say something. Long Long awkwardly asks how she's doing. She simply replies that she's fine. Zhang Hao notices a book in her hands and asks if she's reading a novel. Long Long tries to stop him, saying she probably doesn't want to talk, but Zhang Hao keeps going. He says his friend thinks she doesn't want to speak with them. She replies calmly that she has no opinion on that. Zhang Hao guesses she might just be shy or introverted. He stretches out his hand and says that if she ever wants to talk, they can be friends. After a short pause, she agrees. Zhang Hao smiles. This, he thinks, might be the start of his journey to becoming a real man in this world. Just then, Yan Yuan arrives. She questions why Zhang Hao is bothering a transfer student. That gives Zhang Hao an idea. He thanks Yan Yuan in his mind and turns back to Min Yuehua. He asks if she wants to be friends with this girl. Min Yuehua hesitates and clearly doesn't want to, but Zhang Hao gently encourages her. After a moment, she says yes, she would like that. As Zhang Hao returns to his seat, Min Yuehua quietly thanks him. Zhang Hao looks back at her and smiles. Back at home, Zhang Hao is lying on his bed, headphones on, listening to intense Sigma male music. A rock and roll track starts playing. Suddenly, his stepsister walks into the room. She asks what he's doing there. Zhang Hao answers casually, saying he's just listening to some music, and asks if she needs something. She steps closer and asks if something is bothering him. Zhang Hao brushes it off and says it's nothing. But she keeps moving closer and asks if she can listen too. He starts to panic. She comments that he seems to like rock music. That must mean he's different from other boys. But being different, she says, isn't such a bad thing. As she leans in even more, Zhang Hao's mind goes into full overload. He wonders what he's supposed to do now. What would a real man do in this situation? Then in his imagination, two voices appear, like an angel and a demon sitting on his shoulders. The angel tells him to stay strong. The Sigma path means resisting temptation, but the demon argues otherwise. Forget being a Sigma. A real top-tier alpha should take what's offered. In a moment of sheer panic and confusion, Zhang Hao grabs her by the shoulders and tosses her onto the bed. She looks at him in shock and asks if he meant to hug her. He's sweating, trying to gain control of himself. He tells her he can't hold back anymore. Suddenly, a strange memory flashes in his mind, something about belonging to someone, a voice saying she'll find him no matter where he goes. He's startled and steps back, trying to figure out where the memory came from. Why did it feel so real? His sister, now concerned, walks up and places her hands on his shoulders. She asks if he's sick because he looks really pale. He shakes it off and says he just needs some rest. Then he changes the subject, asking if he would look better with a shorter hairstyle. Still flustered, she tells him she'd look good no matter what. Then Zhang Hao thinks to himself, something feels off. Is it just him, or is there something weird about his sister and this goddess from before? He comes to a conclusion. No doubt about it, he must be cursed. And now he's even more determined to ditch this weak, beta male identity. He makes up his mind. Time to change everything, starting with his appearance. He heads to a hair salon. The attendant greets him warmly and compliments his already beautiful looks, saying she'll bring out their best hairdresser just for him. But Zhang Hao insists he's just there for a haircut, nothing special. Soon, the hairdresser arrives and looks him over. She asks what kind of style he wants. Zhang Hao says he doesn't care, as long as it's short. He tells his to do whatever he wants. It doesn't have to look cute or perfect. The hairdresser is confused. He's never had a customer who didn't want to look prettier. He thinks it over, then smiles. He guesses he probably wants the opposite look. He jokes about it, saying maybe he secretly wants to look even more attractive. Finally, after a long session, he announces he's done and spins the chair around. Zhang Hao looks in the mirror and is stunned. He did cut it short, but somehow he looks even cuter than before. He beams with pride and tells him there's no need to pay. All he wants is to take a photo to promote his work. But Zhang Hao quickly refuses. No photos, he'll pay the full price. He agrees and tells him to come back anytime. He needs help from a professional salon. As he steps out onto the street, Zhang Hao reflects. He admits that having some extra style and charisma isn't a bad thing. Maybe, just maybe, he can get used to this. Later that night, back at home, he stands in front of the mirror and inspects his new haircut. It doesn't exactly scream dominant male, but it's a start. He nods to himself, haircut complete. Now it's time to upgrade his wardrobe. He opens his closet and immediately frowns. All he sees are the same soft, cute outfits. Frustrated, he sighs. Why is this all I have? A little while later, Zhang Hao hears his father calling for him. He walks into the room and asks what's going on, but his father's expression changes the moment he sees him. He's clearly shocked and demands to know what happened to Zhang Hao's hair. Why did he cut it so short? Zhang Hao tries to explain. He says the long hair was bothering his eyes, and he just wanted a cleaner, easier look. But his father doesn't buy it. His tone turns sharp. He accuses Zhang Hao of trying to annoy him on purpose, says this must be some kind of joke. Before the situation gets worse, Chin Chin steps in. She smiles calmly and tells their dad to relax. She doesn't see anything wrong with the haircut. In fact, she says he looks even cuter this way, so there's no need to be upset. The tension drops. She turns to Zhang Hao and asks him to come to her room. She says she has something for him, a gift. Zhang Hao follows, curious. His thoughts are spinning. What is her room going to look like? Is it going to be some girly paradise, or something completely unexpected? When they get there, Chin Chin walks over to her desk, picks something up, and hands it to him. She says she bought it quickly, but hopes he'll like it. Zhang Hao opens the small box and is stunned. Inside is a pair of black diamond earrings. They look expensive, definitely not the kind of thing someone just hands out. She tells him not to worry. As long as he likes them, she's happy to buy him whatever he wants. Zhang Hao stares at the gift in disbelief. He starts wondering, did he just gain a new sister, or did he accidentally pick up a sugar mama? Later, alone in his room, Zhang Hao sits on his bed, still staring at the earrings. They sparkle in the light. He thinks about returning them, but then again, he's just a broke high school student in a completely flipped world. He decides to keep them. Just then, his phone buzzes. A message pops up from Long Long. Long Long excitedly shares that his latest novel just launched. It's already been signed for publication. The title, Soft and Cute Friend Boy vs. the Sassy CEO Boss Lady, A Tale of Forbidden Love. Zhang Hao raises an eyebrow. Seriously, this is what people read here. But then an idea hits him. That's it. He can write too. He could bring stories from his original world and publish them here. That might actually earn him some easy money. He starts brainstorming titles. Should he write about the return of a powerful super soldier, maybe something like Solo Leveling, or go bold and write something spicy like Overflow? Hours pass. He drafts, edits, and merges pieces from stories he remembers, shaping them into something fresh for this world. He leans back, proud of what he's created. He's going to call it, A Real Woman in a Patriarchal World. A new day begins at school. Zhang Hao checks his messages on his phone, and one catches his eye. It reads, "Congratulations, your novel has passed the web novel signing application. Please contact the editor in charge." His eyes light up. He's excited. Finally, he's going to earn some money in this world. He reflects for a moment. Writing a story every single day is tough, but if the reward is cash, it's worth it, especially when you've got nothing else. Feeling proud of himself, he decides to treat himself with something sweet. Ice cream sounds perfect. As he walks to the store, something about the place feels familiar. Then a memory hits him. He remembers the first time he met someone, her. At that time, he thought she was his senior. Her body had a petite frame, but somehow she gave off a powerful presence. He recalls her name, Ami. She was the daughter of Uncle Jin, the man who owned the small grocery store next to his house. May had always been cute, kind, and sweet. Zhang Hao remembers the day she protected him from something. After that, he kept visiting her family's shop, over and over again. One day, he built up the courage to confess. He told her he liked her, but her response shattered him. She said she preferred guys with muscles. Zhang Hao pauses in his thoughts and shakes his head. But now things are different. He's no longer the same skinny, shy guy. Now he looks sharp and confident. He tells himself, if I confess again, this time it will work. He steps into the store, energized by the thought of seeing her again. Inside, he hears someone nearby talking about ways to make money. And then he sees her. Ami appears from behind the counter, casually walking into view. Zhang Hao's heart skips a beat. He's stunned. She looks exactly the same, or at least almost. There's one big difference. He takes one look at her and thinks she's definitely been training. Her body is stronger, more defined. She's not just cute anymore, she's built. Then she looks at him and comments on his new hairstyle. Zhang Hao is so shocked that he literally stumbles and falls to the floor. She walks over, concerned, asking if he's okay and if he came to see her about something. But Zhang Hao, overwhelmed by emotion, shouts out to the sky in his mind, "Goddess, please bring back my sweet Ami." The chapter opens with Zhang Hao sitting in a chair. A cold slice of watermelon rests nearby. It looks like he had fainted earlier. He mumbles something softly, still half-conscious, mentioning Miss Ami. Suddenly, a firm hand grabs his shoulder. The pressure is so strong, the chair beneath him snaps and collapses. He jolts awake. She asks if he's all right, clearly worried. But Zhang Hao springs up, quickly flipping backward with some flashy moves to create distance. He insists he's totally fine and says he's heading out. As she tries to hand him her phone number, he panics internally. His thoughts are racing. Even this small, delicate girl from his past has turned into a powerhouse. He's convinced he needs to sign up for that Muay Thai class immediately. And not just that, he still has to buy gifts for his sister, and his wardrobe seriously needs a full reset. He groans in frustration. No matter the world, money is always the biggest problem. Then a familiar voice calls out. He turns and freezes. It's Chin Chin. She's practicing yoga, holding a graceful pose. He asks if she's seriously doing yoga. She nods and says she just wanted to try a few exercises, ones that boys used to do. Zhang Hao stares. In this world, boys are the ones who did yoga. What kind of world is this? As she walks toward him, he pulls back slightly and jokes about keeping her hands to herself. But Chin Chin gives him some advice. She says he needs to get stronger or he'll keep getting bullied at school. That stings. He can feel the burn of embarrassment deep down. To her, he looks weak, and that's something he can't accept. With determination in his voice, he challenges her to an arm wrestling match. She agrees. He raises the stakes. The loser has to do one thing for the winner, no questions asked. She nods again and they lock hands. The match begins. Zhang Hao focuses. To him, this isn't just a game. It's about pride. It's about dignity. It's about proving he's not weak. He tries to summon every ounce of strength from what feels like trillions of struggling ancestors, but it's no use. Chin Chin notices his shaking arm and the pain in his face. Concerned, she stops the match, asking if he's okay. He admits defeat, defeated but not broken. He asks what she wants as her prize. Her answer is simple. She says she wants to try resting her head on his lap. Zhang Hao freezes, confused. Wait, did she just ask to lie down on his legs? Yes, that's exactly what she meant. As she gently lays her head on his lap, he watches her, stunned. Her cheeks are slightly red. He thinks to himself, if this is what she wants, then she can stay there as long as she likes. Zhang Hao is focused on working on his novel when his phone suddenly rings. It's Yan Yuan, the blonde girl from school, inviting him to the amusement park. She mentions that both Yua and Long Long will be joining as well. Just then, shouting from outside catches his attention. He looks out the window and sees Long Long with a girl. Later, when he comes down to meet them, the girl suddenly rushes into his arms. Confused, Zhang Hao wonders who this girl even is. The girl, visibly upset, asks why Long Long doesn't remember her. Long Long replies that it's been 4 years since they last met, so of course, he forgot. Even though Zhang Hao doesn't really feel like going to the amusement park, Long Long insists that Yua could use more friends. Reluctantly, Zhang Hao agrees. He tells them to wait while he changes his clothes. As they get ready, Long Long's sister snaps a photo of him and says he looks especially beautiful today. The group decides to start with the haunted house. Long Long already looks nervous, his body slightly trembling. Zhang Hao encourages him, saying he needs to be braver. After all, he's supposed to be a guy. They quickly pair off. Yua ends up with Zhang Hao, while the others, Long Long, Yan Yuan, and Long Long's sister, go together. As they walk through the dark, spooky halls, Zhang Hao turns to Yua and asks if she's scared. She stays silent. Trying to be supportive, he tells her that she can hold on to him if she's afraid. Without a word, she gently takes hold of his arm. As they continue walking, they pass by skeletons and spooky effects. Zhang Hao stays calm, even joking around, telling the skeletons he's in a rush. But after wandering for a while, he realizes something's wrong. Yua is no longer beside him. He starts searching and finally hears a faint voice coming from a nearby cabinet. Opening it, he finds Yua hiding inside, trembling and crying. He gently reassures her and says everything is fine now. She takes his hand, slowly calming down. Later, when they exit the haunted house, Long Long announces he's never stepping foot in there again. Yan Yuan teases Zhang Hao and Yua for being in there alone for so long. Zhang Hao flicks her forehead and tells her to stop overthinking things. Suddenly, Yua stumbles and collapses. Everyone panics, shouting that they need to call an ambulance. But Zhang Hao stays calm and tells them not to panic. He suggests they lay her down on a bench to rest. She likely fainted from fear. Long Long nervously suggests performing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Yan Yuan protests, clearly uncomfortable, and says they should call emergency services instead. Not wanting more chaos, Zhang Hao asks her to just buy water and food instead. He gently places Yua's head in his lap. Then he starts softly massaging her ears. She slowly wakes up, confused by what's happening. He explains that he was just trying to help her regain consciousness. She admits she was really scared. He tells her everything is all right now, and maybe haunted houses just aren't for her. She nods and closes her eyes again, falling back asleep. Zhang Hao watches her quietly and thinks she's the quietest and shyest girl he's met in this world. There's something different about her. After some time, the others return and ask if she's okay. She assures them she's feeling better now. Yan Yuan suggests they continue exploring the amusement park, but Zhang Hao shakes his head and says they should head home instead. Yua holds his hand and insists they go together. Yan Yuan and Long Long's sister clearly don't look happy about it. Later, they arrive at an enormous, luxurious villa where maids greet them at the door. The butler scolds Yua, saying she shouldn't have sneaked out so far without telling anyone. The group is shocked, realizing Yua is incredibly wealthy. The butler quickly adjusts his tone and apologizes for his rudeness, now realizing they're all friends of Yua. He offers them fine tea, mineral spring water, and pastries made by personal chefs. Everyone is impressed by how high-end everything is. Yua excuses herself to change, leaving the group still stunned by her wealth. Zhang Hao, however, doesn't seem that amazed. As they walk through the villa, the butler gently scolds Yua again, saying she went too far today and everyone was worried. Yua suddenly stops and asks if her father called. She also asks where her mother is. The butler answers honestly, neither parent has called. Her father is busy traveling and her mother is working. Yua wonders out loud why her father didn't call her. The butler assures her that her parents love her and will return with gifts, but she doesn't seem convinced. Later, she comes back wearing a new, elegant outfit. Everyone else is impressed, but Zhang Hao notices something different. She looks more glamorous than ever, but her eyes seem empty, like a doll without life. He asks her if something is wrong. She softly replies that her dad didn't call her again. Not knowing what else to say, Zhang Hao awkwardly offers to keep her company if she ever feels lonely. Suddenly, Yua lights up, grabs his hand and pulls him along. She brings him to a secret room filled with weapons. She enthusiastically shows off her favorite gun and offers it to him. Zhang Hao panics inside. He thinks that if he brought something like this home, he'd definitely be in trouble. Yua tells him this is her most treasured item. Yua adds that friends should be able to exchange gifts. Yua says she wants to be his friend forever. Zhang Hao awkwardly replies that they can still be friends, even without firearms. She wraps her arms around him in a tight hug, saying they must stay together, always. Zhang Hao blinks, thinking to himself, wow, she's moving really fast. The next day, the group leaves Yua's home. As they walk together, Long Long remarks that seeing her in all those outfits makes him want to go shopping for new clothes. Zhang Hao agrees. He needs a wardrobe refresh too. Long Long suggests they go shopping together tomorrow. And so they do. At the clothing store, Long Long is busy trying on cute outfits, clearly enjoying himself. Meanwhile, Zhang Hao struggles to find anything that fits the image he wants to present. After shopping, they decide to grab some food and head to a nearby fast food place, McDonald's. While eating, Zhang Hao starts feeling uneasy. It feels like someone is staring at him. In a corner of the restaurant, a girl is quietly snapping a photo of him. She posts it on social media, with a caption saying she wants to marry the handsome boy she just saw in McDonald's, adding heart-shaped eyes to the message. Long Long notices that Zhang Hao has suddenly pulled a hat over his head and asks why he's doing that. Zhang Hao replies that he's too handsome and needs to keep a low profile. Long Long jokes that if he's not careful, he's going to become an online celebrity. Zhang Hao laughs it off, thinking it's all exaggerated. But it doesn't take long before things spiral. His picture begins trending, top 5 on social media. Girls start commenting about his beauty, calling him a living fantasy. Some say he looks better than most celebrities. Others are determined to find out who he is. One girl stares at the screen and suddenly recognizes him. She remembers a post made by Long Long's sister, something about their visit to the amusement park. The day after his amusement park outing, Zhang Hao is back home and completely worn out from all the attention. His phone rings again. It's Long Long. Zhang Hao answers, clearly annoyed, wondering why he's calling again. Long Long explains that someone took a photo of Zhang Hao at McDonald's, and now it's being shared everywhere. Confused, Zhang Hao says it's just a picture. How bad could it be? But when he checks the app, he sees his name trending in the top 4. He groans, realizing he's gone viral. Still, he tries to calm himself. This kind of fame usually fades fast, In a few days, people will forget. To relax, he opens up a game streaming site, but he notices something has changed. The just chatting category, once filled with girls, is now full of boys. He switches to a battle royale stream. The game is the same, but the streamer is a girl now. That doesn't bother him, but the shift in dynamics is clear. He thinks about his age. Could minors stream live games in this world? Suddenly, his sister comes home. She notices the commotion and jokes that she didn't expect her little brother to become an internet celebrity. Feeling embarrassed, Zhang Hao says she found out too. She asks if he went out with Long Long. Before he can answer, she lunges at him in worry. She wants to know if he was harassed by strangers. He reassures her that he's fine and says he can handle himself. But she insists that he's still too naive. Women in this world are a lot more aggressive. She tells him that if anything ever happens, he has to tell her. He agrees. Then he notices something odd. Her phone wallpaper is a photo of him with Long Long. Zhang Hao is surprised and wonders who even took the picture. The next day, Zhang Hao tries to stay low-key, but groups of girls are looking for him. Long Long calls and warns him not to go to school. There's a crowd waiting at the front gate because of his rising fame. Zhang Hao sighs. No way he can go to school today. Instead, he asks his sister to contact the school for him. With time to kill, he decides to stream a game, League of Legends. He starts playing, controlling his favorite character. He performs some impressive moves, landing several kills and even scoring a pentakill. He smiles, looks like his gaming skills haven't faded in this world. Later that evening, after eating, he returns to his room to begin his live broadcast. His sister notices something odd but says nothing. Zhang Hao goes live. It's his first time streaming and he's a little nervous. He greets viewers and jumps into a match. He plays Yasuo in the jungle, taking down the dragon early and defeating a Garen. On the other side, the opponent is a professional female gamer who's also streaming. She's surprised. How could a new player beat her? Her chat floods with messages. They're stunned that she lost. Some viewers accuse Zhang Hao of cheating or pretending to be a boy. Annoyed, the girl decides to get serious. Her gameplay speeds up, fingers flying across the keyboard. But even then, Zhang Hao defeats another enemy. One of her viewers points out that the person who beat her is also streaming. Zhang Hao chuckles, admitting the girl is good, but says he's better. As the match continues, Zhang Hao's chat starts exploding. People speculate he's not really a guy. Some even demand proof. Frustrated, Zhang Hao grabs his headset and speaks directly to the camera. He says he is a man and wants to know how everyone even found his stream. To prove it, he turns on his camera and shows his hands. His chat goes wild. Viewers start complimenting his hands. Some even get a little too obsessed. People beg for a face reveal, but he doesn't respond. Meanwhile, somewhere else, a girl in a high-rise office is watching his stream. She mutters to herself, realizing that if her company signs this guy, he could bring in serious money. After the stream, Zhang Hao ends the session and thanks everyone for watching. He says this was his first broadcast, and more will come soon. The next day, he talks with Long Long. He asks about school and if people are still talking about him. Long Long says it's better now. Fewer people are asking since he skipped yesterday. Zhang Hao is relieved. He thinks the hype might be fading, and maybe he can return to school. Long Long changes the topic and asks what Zhang Hao's been doing these past few days. Zhang Hao admits he's been writing his novel and streaming. Long Long is stunned. He asks when Zhang Hao started streaming. Zhang Hao quickly shushes him, not wanting anyone to overhear. He says no one else can know, and he hasn't signed a contract yet. Right then, Zhang Hao's phone buzzes with a notification. It's from the platform. It tells him his popularity has hit the threshold for signing a contract. Long Long is thrilled. He tells Zhang Hao this is a huge opportunity. With his looks, he'll be rich in no time. But Zhang Hao hesitates. He says he's still a student. The fame might be too much. Long Long suggests wearing a mask while streaming. All he needs to do is dance, and people will shower him with gifts. Zhang Hao says he's only doing gaming streams, showing his face doesn't matter. As they walk, Zhang Hao suddenly notices someone following them. He tells Long Long he needs to go to the supermarket and parts ways. Then he spins around and calls out to the followers. A girl with pink hair steps out, her tone playful. She says she's lucky to run into such a good-looking internet star in her area. She calls herself his big sister and claims she'll take care of him. Zhang Hao looks confused. He asks who she even is. Someone behind the pink-haired girl speaks up. They say she's known as Sister Leu, and she controls this entire neighborhood. Zhang Hao shrugs. He says he doesn't know her and isn't interested. He tells her he needs to go. One of her underlings starts yelling. But then, surprisingly, Lei Yu punches him herself. She looks at Zhang Hao and tells him she likes his personality. She doesn't want to hurt him, she just wants him as her boyfriend. Zhang Hao doesn't look thrilled. He knows that for many guys in this world, having a rich girl take care of them would be a dream, and Lei Yu isn't unattractive. She's tall and strong. For a second he feels tempted, but then he remembers what the Blood Moon goddess told him. He needs to become a real man. He can't rely on anyone else. So he turns her down, saying he's not interested, and tries to walk past. That's when she suddenly pulls out a knife. She threatens that it would be a shame if something happened to his face. Zhang Hao doesn't flinch. He dares her to try. She seems even more curious now, excited by his boldness. But Zhang Hao doesn't hold back. He punches her in the face, follows it with an elbow to the chest, and knocks her down. She's shocked. This wasn't what she expected. He tries to kick him, but she blocks it. Then she throws a punch, but Zhang Hao dodges and grabs the knife. As they stare each other down, he calmly says he already called the police. Lei Yu smirks and says she won't cause more trouble. One of her gang members asks if she's really going to let him go. She responds that with handsome guys, you have to be patient. She turns to Zhang Hao and says something flirty, but Zhang Hao stops her. He tells her to stop following him and walks away. As she watches him leave, her assistant secretly records everything with a camera. Back in that same office, someone else is watching the footage with interest. At a media company, Miss Wei is told about Zhang Hao's rising popularity. She's not thrilled and says this should be a job for the scouts. But her assistant explains that the chairman personally requested her to look into it. Curious, Miss Wei studies Zhang Hao's photo. She notes he just looks like a regular high school student, but there's something about him. He really could be a star for their company. They decide to dig deeper. Back at school, Zhang Hao is playing basketball, though he keeps sneezing. Long Long tells him to take a break, but Zhang Hao says he's fine. He just wants to shoot a few more hoops. He lands a clean three-point shot. It proves once again that boys can definitely play basketball in this world. The girls cheer him on. Someone records the moment. That someone turns out to be a spy, paid by the pink-haired girl from the alley. Zhang Hao senses that something's off. Later after school, while heading home, he notices someone taking more photos. He looks toward a bush. Long Long asks what's wrong, but Zhang Hao brushes it off, saying he just has a weird feeling like someone been watching him all day. He remembers the background photo on his sister's phone and starts to wonder, could all this be connected to her? After everyone leaves, Zhang Hao approaches a girl hiding behind a tree. He demands to see her phone. She admits to taking one picture, but he finds a whole video of him playing basketball. She apologizes and says she's just following orders. Lei Yu's sister promised to pay 200 yuan for any photos of him. Zhang Hao, frustrated, deletes the media and hands her phone back. She quickly runs off. He realizes that the pink-haired girl is going to be a real problem, and he'll have to deal with her eventually. Later, he meets Long Long at the plaza. As they walk through the mall, they talk about Zhang Hao's contract with the streaming platform, but Zhang Hao also wants to buy a gift. Long Long teases him, asking who it's for. Zhang Hao gets flustered and says it's just for his sister. He explains that he signed a contract with a streaming site, but on his own terms. He won't show his face unless he wants to. He'll stream only what he enjoys, no forced offline events. And best of all, he won't need to act or dress provocatively. Long Long is amazed. He asks how Zhang Hao got such a good deal. Zhang Hao shrugs. He just asked, and they agreed. As they walk, they notice someone watching them from a distance. It's Lei Yufang, the guy from school who once mocked Zhang Hao for eating too much. And from the look in his eyes, he's definitely planning something. Later in the mall's restroom, Lei Yufang and his gang follow them. Lei Yufang stands guard at the door, while his buddies head inside to stir up trouble. As Zhang Hao and Long Long exit, one of the guys moves toward him. He tries to bump into Zhang Hao on purpose, but Zhang Hao dodges him. Zhang Hao calmly asks what he's doing. The guy starts yelling, accusing Zhang Hao of not watching where he's going. Long Long jumps in, pointing out that it was clearly the other guy who caused the bump. The troublemaker grabs Long Long by the collar. Zhang Hao steps in. He says it's fine to bump into him, but grabbing his friend crosses the line. Tensions rise. Suddenly, the guy tries to spit at Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao dodges and yells, asking if the guy has lost his mind. Then he punches him square in the face. Another thug steps in to help, but Long Long handles him with surprising skill. He fights fiercely, and Zhang Hao watches, impressed. He's starting to look like a fighter from an action anime. After landing a few good punches, Long Long warns them, next time he'll break their legs. The first guy holding his face growls that he's calling his girlfriend to bring backup. Not long after, a voice shouts from outside the mall. A girl with a fierce presence, known as the Tremona Girl, steps forward and asks if this is the guy who caused trouble. The guy points at Zhang Hao, saying it's him. Their plan is to take pictures and post them to the school forum. The group surrounds Zhang Hao. The boy yells that this is the guy who hit them. Zhang Hao doesn't flinch. He tells them all to come at him again if they want. Long Long tries to explain that it was all their fault. They started it. Zhang Hao is tired of the nonsense. He tells them to leave because he's in a hurry. But the Tremona Girl starts acting strangely. She stares at him, captivated. Her boyfriend yells, asking why she's zoning out and demanding she do something. She says hitting someone first is wrong, but admits she's a bit unreasonable. She offers a deal. If Zhang Hao apologizes, they'll forget the whole thing. The boyfriend urges her to attack, but she doesn't move. He accuses her of falling for Zhang Hao. She doesn't deny it. Zhang Hao stays calm and asks them to move aside again. The boyfriend tries to block his way, but Zhang Hao warns him. Next time he interferes, he'll regret it. The Tremona Girl snaps at him, threatening to stuff him in a bag and throw him in the river if he doesn't shut up. Then she turns to Zhang Hao and asks for his phone number. Far away, a boy named Liu Fang is recording everything and uploading it to the school forum. At the same time, a black limousine pulls up nearby. Inside the car, Miss Wei watches everything unfold. Liu Fang keeps recording, hiding nearby. But Liu, the pink-haired girl, spots him. She storms over and demands to know why he's filming. Liu Fang tries to back away, but she grabs his phone. She snarls, accusing him of taking photos of her man. She even grabs him by the neck, and weirdly, Liu Fang seems to enjoy it. She smirks and tells him to come meet his brother-in-law. The Tremona Girl grows anxious, seeing Liu. She whispers nervously, "Why is she here?" Liu walks right up to Zhang Hao, acting sweet. She says it's only been 2 days, but she missed him so much. He ignores her and starts walking away. She kicks the guy in the back. Then she tells Zhang Hao she caught him taking photos. Zhang Hao is clearly irritated and asks what she wants. Then, surprisingly, Liu pulls out a bouquet of roses. She walks over and begs Zhang Hao to go on a date with her. She confesses her feelings, saying that if he agrees to be her boyfriend, he can do whatever he wants. But Zhang Hao thinks seriously. From a knife to roses. He tells her again he's not interested. She pleads, saying she's anxious and really wants him to take the flowers. He stares at the bouquet. He remembers their first meeting, the threat, the chase, and now this sudden romance. He tells her one more time he cannot be her boyfriend. He asks her to leave. Liu finally orders everyone else to clear the area. Then she approaches Long Long. She asks him softly, "Aren't you Zhang Hao's friend?" He nods. She leans in and warns Zhang Hao that if her friends lose control, she won't be able to hold them back. Zhang Hao listens closely, quickly understanding what's going on. She's using his friend to pressure him, and he can tell things are only going to get worse. Zhang Hao tries to calm things down with the pink-haired girl. He asks her to be reasonable and just say what she wants. She grins, grabs his cheeks, and tells him that since he asked so nicely, she'll take a step back. Her offer, join her at a bar tonight. He agrees and tells her to send the time and location. She promises she'll be waiting. Later, Long Long pulls him aside, worried. That woman looked like a gangster, and going to a bar with her sounds dangerous. He even suggests calling the police. But Zhang Hao explains that without proof, the police wouldn't be able to help. She'd be released and come back angrier. He plans to check her attitude tonight and reassures Long Long he knows kung fu and can handle himself. Long Long still panics, telling him not to die. Zhang Hao laughs it off, saying it's just a bar, not a death sentence. Just then, a woman in glasses appears and asks Zhang Hao to come with her. Annoyed by the constant interruptions, he gives in. A group of intimidating women escort him to an office. Inside, he meets a powerful-looking woman. Her name is Wei Nan, president of Fang Hong Media Group. She looks him over, walks closer, and says that with his look and style, he's exactly what the market needs. She offers him a contract, promising fame. Zhang Hao reads it quickly and hands it back. He says he's not interested in stardom, and he's in a rush to get home for dinner. Her assistant grabs him, saying he's just a student and shouldn't be so arrogant. Zhang Hao moves fast, twists her wrist, and throws her off. Wei Nan seems intrigued. She attacks, but he dodges. He tries to strike her, but she blocks him. She compliments his strength and says she's even more impressed now, but he says he doesn't want her support. She tells him not to worry, she won't push him yet. She'll give him time to reconsider. Then she tells her assistant to take him home. As he leaves, Zhang Hao thinks to himself, this woman is definitely going to be trouble. At home, Zhang Hao gets ready for the night's meeting at the bar. He takes a hidden recorder, a small knife, and some pepper spray. He sends Long Long a message. If he doesn't call by 8:30, Long Long should contact the police. Tonight, he plans to draw a clear boundary with Liu Xin. It starts raining as he walks to the bar. When he arrives, someone is already waiting for him and says their boss has been expecting him. He says fine, just take him there. Inside one of the private rooms, Liu Xin sits on a couch, smiling. He tells her he came as promised, but he doesn't want anything to do with her. He suggests they reset everything, act like strangers. He doesn't know her and she doesn't know him. That would be best for both. But she doesn't agree and moves closer. He warns her again. If she keeps this up, he's calling the police. She mocks him, saying it's not illegal to chase a guy. Then another girl speaks up, saying they should take photos and videos of him, and if he fights back, they'll post everything online. They think he's scared, but actually, he's relieved. His recorder is already running. Liu Xin asks what's going on. Suddenly, the other girl pulls out a knife. Zhang Hao jokes about it, so now refusing her means getting attacked. Without hesitation, he sprays her in the face and rushes forward. Then he takes her knife and holds her hostage. Liu Xin watches, impressed by his boldness. He warns them not to try anything unless they want blood on the floor. He tells them to call the police if they want. Then he lets the girl go and walks out. Later, Liu Xin gets a message. Someone says Zhang Hao recorded everything and took photos. If she keeps provoking him, he'll go to the police. She screams in frustration, realizing why he was so calm earlier. Meanwhile, someone secretly watches Zhang Hao from a distance and reports to Miss Wei that he's fine. The next day at school, Zhang Hao reflects on what happened the night before. He hopes the warning was enough to keep Liu Xin away. Then he overhears two girls talking. They mention that someone from the Fang Hong group took over Liu Xin's territory. That catches his attention. Wait, Fang Hong again. He suddenly remembers Miss Wei is with that company. Now he wonders what's her connection to Liu Xin. After school, he gets home and sees his sister preparing dinner. The food smells great. He notices they're alone. He asks where their dad and aunt are. She says they're working late. His mind drifts. Alone at home with his sister, she flicks his forehead, snapping him out of it. He quickly says he's fine and sits down for dinner. In his head, he scolds himself. That's your sister, don't even go there. Even if there's no blood relation, it's wrong. After dinner, she tells him to relax and let her clean up. She insists he go upstairs and start his stream. He offers to help. She gently holds his hands. Then she says she'll never let his beautiful hands touch dirty dishes. He sighs and goes back to his room. He starts his stream, telling viewers it'll be a 2-hour ranked session. 2 hours later, his sister walks into the room. She asks if he's tired from streaming. Then she pats the bed and tells him to come over so she can give him a massage. He tells her to rest since she did all the housework. She says it's okay and is just happy he cares about her. He agrees they're family. But that word seems to bother her. She remembers a moment from their past when he told her not to be scared and promised they'd always be family. Suddenly, she starts crying. He asks what's wrong. She says she's just really happy right now. Zhang Hao thinks about everything. At least in this world, his father doesn't have to be lonely. Here, there's a real family. He promises himself he'll protect this family and keep them happy. His sister wipes her tears and apologizes for crying. He smiles and thanks her for treating him like real family. But something in her eyes suggests she might be thinking something else entirely. Later, both are lying in bed. He asks if they should really sleep together tonight. She says yes, it's the perfect time with their parents away. She says she's always wanted to talk with him like this. He's curious and asks what she wants to talk about. She gets closer and asks what kind of girls he likes. He stutters, maybe someone gentle and kind. She follows up, is there anyone like that at school? He thinks of Yua but shakes his head. She tells him he's still too young and should focus on school. But she also admits she worries about him, especially since he's so good-looking. As they talk, he falls asleep. Later, he wakes up and wonders if it was all a dream. He checks her room, but she's not there. Looking around, he finds a book on her shelf. It's a story about a sister who really likes her brother. Could it be? She even cried when he said they were family. Suddenly, his head starts to hurt. A memory flashes. There was a girl with glasses, mocking some boys and teasing him. The next day, Zhang Hao starts his stream, but ends it earlier than usual. His viewers notice and ask if something's wrong. He doesn't respond. His mind is elsewhere, still stuck on that memory and how it makes him feel down. He also notices his stream isn't growing. He needs to find a way to get more viewers. He really needs the money. He receives a message from the platform. His popularity is low, and they suggest ways to improve it. The next day, he gets a follow-up message with a list of plans made by a female admin. He reads the options and feels disgusted. Option 1, a hot dance wearing tight shorts. Option 2, sexy cosplay. Option 3, sweaty workout content. He groans. He knew it would come to this. Later, he and Long Long meet at a coffee shop to talk about it. Long Long asks why the platform admin wants to see him. Zhang Hao says he has no idea, but they head in. They're greeted by a woman named Song Qing. She manages streamers and tells him to call her Miss Song. Zhang Hao introduces Long Long and says he's seen the suggestions, but isn't doing any of them. She smiles and says she watches all his streams. She didn't expect him to agree to the first two, but suggests he seriously think about the third. He asks why. Suddenly she stands and touches his chest, saying he has good structure, but it needs toning. He's awkward, but she keeps going. She says he could stream workouts with a mask, no need to show his face or skin, just his form and strength. Long Long thinks it sounds fair. Zhang Hao agrees. He decides to stream workouts for half an hour, 2 or 3 times a week, while keeping his identity hidden. Back home, his father is shocked. He hears the news and yells, streaming workouts online? Absolutely not. Zhang Hao's father grabs him by the neck, clearly upset. He accuses Zhang Hao of planning to stream fitness workouts just to attract girls. Zhang Hao tries to calm him down. He says it's just normal exercise, nothing revealing. His dad argues that Zhang Hao always talks about how good-looking he is and how dangerous that can be, so why take the risk? His sister steps in, telling their dad to relax. She says Zhang Hao's plan sounds reasonable, just let him try once. If something feels off, they can stop him immediately. The father agrees, though reluctantly. He mutters that his niece is spoiling the boy too much. Zhang Hao thanks his sister, but she warns him. She'll be monitoring the chat. If it gets out of control, she's ending the stream herself. Later in his room, Zhang Hao starts his very first fitness stream. As he begins running, comments flood the chat. Viewers call him hot, ask to see his feet, and cheer for his looks. He notices how many people are watching. It's clear fitness content is working. Some even offer huge donations if he keeps running for 15 minutes. 30 minutes later, the chat is still amazed. He's still going strong. But his sister, watching from nearby, grows uneasy. She feels jealous seeing so many eyes on him. She thinks to herself, if I stay the way I was before, he'll slowly slip away from me. When the stream ends, Zhang Hao tells viewers he's heading for a shower. His sister comes over, clearly bothered. She asks him to stream less, it's affecting her. He reassures her, saying this much is okay for now. Then out of nowhere, she slaps him. He's shocked, was that real or just his imagination? That night, she enters his room and walks closer. She softly says that if they hadn't been separated back then. Zhang Hao suddenly remembers something from long ago. A memory appears. A girl once asked if he had anyone to play with. When he said no, she dragged him to play and fought some kids along the way. He had told her she was scary, but she had grabbed his shirt and promised they'd always be together. He wakes up with a headache and dismisses the dream. It doesn't matter right now, he needs to get ready for school. But then he hears a voice. His sister is lying next to him in bed. She smiles and says good morning. Confused, Zhang Hao asks why she's there. She explains she just came to check on him and accidentally fell asleep next to him. He awkwardly says he'll take a shower and gets up. She tells him not to rush. She plans to buy a new car and drive him to school. Later, on the way to school, he thinks about the Muay Thai club. Suddenly, Yua surprises him from behind. She's been training hard. He asks when she learned to fight. She explains that her grandma was a soldier and trained her since childhood. Inspired, he asks if she can teach him too. She agrees and leads him to a warehouse near the playground. They get into position, preparing to spar. Suddenly, she grabs him and takes him down to the floor. She tells him he lost. Zhang Hao, still held by Yua, surrenders. She smiles and demands a reward. Then she unexpectedly licks his ear. He freezes, confused and embarrassed. He asks her why she did that and whether someone taught her. Yua replies that she learned it from videos Yun Yuan sent her. Shocked, Zhang Hao asks to see those videos. She hands him her phone. The content shows couples doing intimate things. He's horrified. It's not appropriate, especially not for school-age kids. Yua seems confused. She asks if she did something wrong. He sighs and tells her no, but this isn't how boys and girls should behave with everyone. He says if she's ever unsure about this stuff, just ask him instead of trusting Yuan's advice. She then asks if it's okay for them to communicate like this. He tells her gently not to kiss him randomly and definitely not to do that to others. They agree to go back to class. As they walk, she wonders aloud, is that kind of touching only for couples? He hesitates and asks if she even knows what that means. She admits she doesn't. He says they'll talk more once she understands. Later, he's walking with Long Long. Yua appears again, asking if they can now communicate. He says no, not right now. She keeps asking and he keeps dodging. Elsewhere, a boy watches from the window, annoyed, muttering that Zhang Hao is the worst. Just then, a woman from Mr. Wei's office arrives and approaches Zhang Hao. She says she's finally found him. The office lady from Fang Hong apologizes for last time and says Mr. Wei wants to see him again. Zhang Hao shakes his head. He tells her he already said he's not interested and doesn't want to waste anyone's time. She explains nervously that she's just following orders and can't return without an answer. He groans internally. Here we go again. She asks if he can talk to Miss Wei if she calls her on her phone. Reluctantly, he agrees. When Mr. Wei answers, Zhang Hao tells her nothing has changed. He still doesn't want anything to do with her. Ms. Wei calmly replies. She says she understands that he hates feeling weak and wants to be strong. She knows what he truly wants, and she's willing to give him more time to decide. She hangs up. Zhang Hao thinks, how does she know me so well? He's still not sure what to do, but one thing is certain. He'll need to see her again. Back at her office, Mr. Wei reflects. She knows now. He doesn't want to be seen as weak. The next morning, Zhang Hao arrives at school in a luxury car. His sister had driven him there and even fixed his hair before he got out. As he walks through the school gates, everyone's staring and whispering. They're glued to their phones, discussing something new. There's a rumor floating around that Zhang Hao is some kind of male escort or influencer for hire. Long Long notices the strange looks and asks if Zhang Hao senses something weird. Zhang Hao sighs, yeah, this started yesterday, but he still doesn't know why. Then a green-haired student walks up and mocks him. He asks if Zhang Hao is so busy at night that he can't finish his homework. He accuses him of skipping college to live off his looks. Zhang Hao hands over his assignment and calmly replies, if you're jealous of my face, just admit it. The guy laughs, saying he'd never want to be someone nurtured by older girls. Zhang Hao blinks, nurtured. The boy explains that people think Zhang Hao been showing up at school escorted by women in fancy cars. It's all over the school forum. Long Long gets angry, saying it's just rumors. But then he checks his phone. There's a post, photos of Zhang Hao arriving in a supercar with his sister. Long Long stares in disbelief. Everyone thinks Zhang Hao is being sponsored by women. Just then, a teacher enters the room and asks Zhang Hao to come with her. In the office, she questions him about the rumors on the forum. Zhang Hao says he just found out. She warns him that this kind of situation reflects poorly on the school. But he stops her. He tells her that the woman in the photo is his sister. If she wants proof, he'll call her right now. He also insists that the post is fake and asks the school to investigate properly. Soon after, his sister arrives. Her presence causes quite a scene among the students. They hear her conversation with the teacher and realize she really is his sister. The scandal is officially dismissed. She apologizes for causing trouble, but Zhang Hao tells her not to worry and to go back to work. Back in the classroom, Yuan Wang speaks up. She says she never believed the rumors. She and Long Long even started looking into it and found out who really spread them, Liu Fang and his group. Zhang Hao asks where Long Long is now. Yuan Wang looks worried. She says he went to investigate on his own, but he hasn't come back. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories. Long Long is sitting on the floor in the men's bathroom, shivering and upset. He mutters through tears that it is so cold and that Liu Feng and the others are terrible people. He vows to tell the teacher when he gets out. Meanwhile, Zhang Hao and Yin's search the school for him. Eventually, Yahello informs them that some classmates from Class 3 saw Long Long near a bathroom. They hurry there. The door is locked from the inside. Long Long cries that he is afraid. Zhang Hao tells Yuehua how to kick the door. She breaks it down easily. Zhang Hao rushes to Long Long. Long Long tearfully explains that he was locked inside and milk was poured on him. Zhang Hao says not to go to the teacher because he will take care of it. Zhang Hao then confronts Liu Feng, who is clearly nervous. Liu Feng tries to intimidate him by saying he will tell the teacher and get Zhang Hao expelled. Zhang Hao warns him to worry about himself instead, since his sister came to school to clear up the rumors from the forum post. He also points out that there are surveillance cameras behind the playground that will reveal what happened to Long Long. Zhang Hao gives Liu Feng two choices: admit publicly that the forum post was fake or face a report to the teacher the next day. Realizing he has no way out, Liu Feng reluctantly apologizes for making the video. Zhang Hao warns him not to act arrogantly again. Afterward, Long Long asks if Zhang Hao really believes Liu Feng will not retaliate. Zhang Hao replies confidently that Liu Feng is a senior, and if the video is handed to the teacher, he will at least get a major demerit. As it is getting late, Zhang Hao suggests going home. On the way, Zhang Hao asks Yuehua if she has heard of Wei Nan. Yuehua explains that Wei Nan is the head of the Wei family and a very powerful figure. Zhang Hao then asks how Wei Nan's family compares to hers, considering her mother is the city mayor. Yuehua says they are on equal footing. Zhang Hao reflects that this will not be an easy situation to handle. At home, Wei Nan is troubled. It has been 3 days since her last call, and she finds herself thinking about Zhang Ha. While she reflects, someone knocks on her door. They tell her she is needed for a dinner to discuss land negotiations. She instructs her secretary to prepare the car. Meanwhile, Zhang Hao and his sister arrive at a restaurant for dinner. Zhang Hao notices how luxurious the place is. His sister explains it is a treat for what happened at school earlier that day. Zhang Hao thanks her. Inside the restaurant, his sister tells him he can order whatever he wants. Zhang Hao asks for a drink, insisting he is an adult. She teases him but eventually allows it, saying their parents will not be home that night. Feeling rebellious, Zhang Hao has a drink. Soon, he starts reminiscing about his past. His sister watches him closely. After one drink, he becomes dizzy and says he might have drunk too quickly, deciding to go to the bathroom. On the way, he reflects on his old drinking habits. In his disoriented state, he accidentally enters the women's bathroom. As he washes his face, he hears a voice. He looks up and sees a woman in fishnets. Confused, he asks why she is in the men's bathroom. She corrects him, saying it is the women's bathroom. Panicking, he notices other women entering and blocking the exits. He feels trapped. Suddenly, Wei Nan pulls him into a stall. She smirks and teases him. Zhang Hao nervously tries to explain it was an accident. Wei Nan grabs his hand. People outside comment on the commotion. He tries to keep his composure. She leans in and calls him a helpless man. Zhang Hao points out that they have only met twice. She ignores him and says she has changed her mind. She does not need him to sign anything, as long as he agrees to be with her. Zhang Hao asks about her past threats, and she reveals that someone who refused her ended up in prison due to her influence. Alarmed, he asks if she is above the law. She brushes it off, saying he worries too much. Zhang Hao uses tickling as a distraction. He manages to escape. Outside the bathroom, he meets his sister. She asks why he took so long. He claims he is just drunk. She helps him leave, saying they should go home. At home, Zhang Hao collapses on the bed. His sister brings him soup and juice. She strokes his hair and quietly says he is cute. In her thoughts, she tells herself that they will be together eventually. She climbs on top of him. She strokes his hair and kisses his neck. Zhang Hao wakes up confused, wondering if it is a dream. Her expression says otherwise. Overwhelmed, he flips her over. He struggles between temptation and his morals. In the end, he kisses her forehead and pulls back. Surprised, she asks if he has fallen asleep. Before anything else can happen, she notices a call from Zhao Yin. Zhao Yin is the cafeteria girl who likes him. She answers the call and introduces herself as Zhang Ha's sister. Zhao Yin responds politely, but the sister cuts her off. She says she knows Zhao Yin has been interested in him for 2 years and that she should give up. She hangs up and thinks to herself that Zhang Hao belongs only to her. She vows to take her time and control herself, but eventually she will have him. The next day, Zhang Hao wakes with a hangover. He walks over to the mirror. he notices something strange on his neck. He wonders if the dream about his sister was not a dream after all. As he examines the marks in the mirror, his sister enters. She greets him, and he nervously wonders if last night was real. She notices the marks on his neck and comments that it looks like he is allergic to alcohol. When he asks what she means, she examines him closely, saying it is nothing serious but that he should be careful. Zhang Hao reluctantly agrees. She reassures him, saying she is a professional and invites him to breakfast. But inside, he remains suspicious of her explanation. At school, Long Long notices Zhang Hao wearing a turtleneck and teases him about it. Zhang Hao says he is just cold, hiding the real reason. Suddenly, someone grabs him by the collar, asking if he is Zhang Hao. Without hesitation, Zhang Hao uses a martial arts move to throw the attacker to the ground. He dislocates the attacker's shoulder. The attacker admits Zhang Hao is stronger than expected. Another student, Zhang Zhang, approaches and remarks that it is no wonder Zhao Weiying likes him. Zhang Hao brushes him off, saying he is not in the mood. Later, Yahello asks if the man was aggressive and offers to deal with him. Zhang Hao declines, saying it is better not to escalate. He asks Yahello to keep teaching him martial arts. Long Long curiously asks if they are practicing boxing and wonders what they are doing after school. Zhang Hao invites him to join so he can learn to protect himself. Long Long refuses, saying he is too delicate, and everyone laughs. Meanwhile, at a pool, Wei Nan relaxes, thinking about Zhang Hao. She admits to herself that he annoys her, but she cannot stop seeing him in her mind. She instructs her assistant to bring Zhang Hao to her villa after school. At the school warehouse, Zhang Hao announces that today's workout will focus on core strength. He says he wants to get 8-pack abs as soon as possible. Yahello responds by lifting her shirt to show her toned stomach. Zhang Hao is shocked that she has such defined abs. He touches them in surprise, commenting that she is so slim he didn't expect this. Yahello blushes, shy but not resisting. Long Long grows suspicious, pulling out a magnifier and joking that something is strange, because Zhang Hao is touching her and she isn't resisting. Curious, Zhang Hao asks Yahello why she doesn't refuse. She simply answers that if he wants, she will allow it. Long Long finds the situation odd, and remarks that Yahello does whatever Zhang Hao asks. Testing her, Zhang Hao suddenly asks how much money she has, and tells her to give it to him. Long Long is startled by the blunt request, but Yahello calmly says she didn't bring much cash, and the rest is on her phone. She starts to say her payment password, but Long Long stops her immediately, saying that's unnecessary. Stepping closer, Zhang Hao asks why she does everything he says. Yahello explains that it's because they are friends, and friends cannot say no. Zhang Hao is taken aback, realizing she might have a skewed idea of friendship due to her background. Remembering what she mentioned at her home, he becomes serious. He tells her that friendship doesn't work like this. He explains that in a relationship, both people must be equal. She should decide for herself what she wants to do and what she doesn't, and never feel forced. Yahello seems confused but agrees. The training session ends early, and Zhang Hao heads home feeling good about the talk. But on the way, he notices a suspicious figure in an alley. He also realizes the streets are unusually empty. A feeling of unease makes him change direction. Just then, a little girl approaches and offers him rice candy. She says she is doing a school project to spread happiness, and her teacher told her to give candies to strangers. If she doesn't finish, she won't get her little red flower. Thinking she is an elementary school student, Zhang Hao accepts a candy and advises her to go home because it's getting late and unsafe outside. As he eats the candy, he notices it smells strange, like smoke. Suddenly, he feels dizzy and loses consciousness. When he wakes up, he is tied to a bed. His hands and feet are bound. Zhang Hao looks around the unfamiliar room. Confused, he wonders what they plan to do with him. The little girl is there, but now she reveals her real voice, calling someone and saying that Mr. Wei will be happy to know he's awake. Zhang Hao realizes she is part of the setup. Shocked, he asks why an elementary school girl is smoking. The girl removes her disguise and reveals she is actually 30 years old but just looks young. Zhang Hao is even more stunned. Wei Nan appears and instructs everyone else to leave. Left alone with him, she tells him to be quiet because she is working. Zhang Hao protests, asking how she expects him to stay silent after tying him up. He accuses her of having a domineering attitude. She steps closer, annoyed, reminding him that he ran away last time and is still disobedient. Zhang Hao nervously asks why she tied him up and whether she has no real interest in him. He decides to speak frankly. He says he knows who she is, the president of Fang Hong Group and head of the Wei family. He knows her family used to be involved in shady dealings, but that under her leadership, she turned the company into one of the biggest in the country. People even admire her as a national figure. But he questions why someone like her would be interested in him. He suspects she might want to use him for her business and says he doesn't want to be involved. He wants a quiet, ordinary life and asks her to let him go. Wei Nan listens silently before finally speaking. She says he is not really Zhang Hao. Zhang Hao is stunned and demands to know what she means. If he is not Zhang Hao, then who is he? Wei Nan explains that she has noticed too many changes in him. She has done her research and knows what he was like before. He was raised by his father alone and received a traditional education. He was known for his good looks and strong academics. At school, many girls admired him for being gentle, cute, and considerate. But now, she says, he has become a tough person. Zhang Hao thinks to himself that she is right. He crossed over into this body and has been trying to adapt without fully knowing its past. But he is surprised she figured it out just from her observations. Wei Nan adds that another sign was how he reacted to her. When they met, he was not excited enough. Confused, Zhang Hao asks if she means because she is famous. She clarifies that it is because he was her fan. She shows him old posts from his social media, full of admiration for her. Some posts talk about how perfect she is, and others say he wants to work hard to be worthy of her. Zhang Hao is shocked, realizing the person in this body once idolized her daily. She points out that now he shows no sign of being her fan. She dismisses excuses like split personality or amnesia. She notes that he learns quickly. He became a top gaming streamer in just 1 month despite no record of prior experience, and he can now fight well despite never doing so before. Her conclusion is firm. This is not split personality. This is a complete change of soul. Zhang Hao calls it crazy thinking, but asks what she plans to do if she believes that. Wei Nan explains that her team is researching the blood moon. She says his personality change happened just a few days after the blood moon, so she believes he is connected to it. She tells him that if he helps with her research, she will tell him the truth. He hesitates, but she reassures him that he will be safe, and she will not take any samples for experiments. She gives him a contract and says he can earn money just by cooperating. Zhang Hao asks if anyone else is studying the blood moon. Wei Nan says she is the only one she knows of. Zhang Hao agrees to look over the contract at home. He had not expected anyone else to even know about the blood moon, so he decides to be careful. He says it is late and he needs to go home. Wei Nan warns him not to make her wait too long. As he turns to leave, she suddenly spins him and pushes him against the wall. Zhang Hao demands to know what she is doing. She smiles, saying it is a punishment for attacking her last time. She pins him against the wall and spanks him repeatedly, much to his humiliation. Zhang Hao vows to remember this. When he finally gets home, his sister runs to him, hugging him tightly. She says she was worried. He apologizes and says he is sorry for making her worry. When she asks where he went, he claims he went shopping and lost track of time. He says he will shower because he feels sweaty, but she stops him. She asks if he went shopping with a girl because she smells perfume on him. Zhang Hao quickly denies it, saying he was alone. Internally, he worries because Wei Nan's scent might still be lingering on him. His sister grabs his cheeks and warns him to be careful or someone might take advantage of him. Flustered, he thanks her. She tells him to shower and change his clothes, saying she will wash them for him. Meanwhile, Wei Nan gives her secretary a picture of Zhang Qin. She tells her to investigate the girl. The secretary notes that Zhang Qin is Zhang Hao's stepsister. Wei Nan nods, saying the timing of her becoming his stepsister is suspicious. At home, Zhang Hao's sister burns his clothes, muttering that he doesn't need clothes that smell like another woman. When Zhang Hao comes out of the shower, he sees her. She is taking something from the fridge. She asks what he wants to drink, and he says cold milk. She invites him to her room to dry his hair. Zhang Hao wonders why he is in her room. Then he notices a message on her phone from a man saying he fell in love with her and wants a chance. Zhang Hao is shocked. He apologizes for seeing it, but she says it's fine and tells him to respond that she has a boyfriend. Zhang Hao warns her that she shouldn't bother with men who use such messages. She smiles and hands him the phone, saying she is glad he cares. She then asks him to block the man for her while she showers. Zhang Hao agrees. As he checks her messages, he notices a group chat called Angel with him. The group includes only him. He wonders why she has such a group. Back at school, Zhang Hao keeps thinking about his sister. He remembers that last time he made a move, she didn't resist. His thoughts are interrupted when the pink-haired boy appears again. At school, the pink-haired boy tells Zhang Hao he heard he is also live streaming. He challenges him to see who can get more yacht gifts. Zhang Hao refuses, saying he is not interested. The boy keeps pressing. Zhang Hao explains he is not like him and does not care about earning money by attracting random girls' attention. If the boy wants to play that game, he can do it alone. The boy becomes angry and stammers. Zhang Hao mocks him, telling him to go to the infirmary if he has a speech problem. The boy fumes and declares that Zhang Hao will lose no matter what. Long Long steps in, saying Zhang Hao is not afraid because he is far more popular. The pink-haired boy sneers and says they will see tonight. That night, Zhang Hao prepares to stream a gaming session. He is no longer wearing a mask. As he plays, he wins game after game, earning double kills, quadruple kills, and MVP titles. In the chat, many girls admire his skill and appearance, calling him perfect. Then suddenly, he receives 990 yacht gifts from Wei Nan. He realizes it is her and thinks she is as bold as always. He remembers the contract she gave him, but has not signed yet. The main reason is that it required him to move out of his family home. Even though it promised a lot of money, he could not accept that condition. But he understands the message behind her gifts. He decides he will return the money to her. Meanwhile, the pink-haired boy is streaming too. Seeing Zhang Hao's success, he ends his stream abruptly, complaining about a stomachache. In frustration, he mutters about Zhang Hao pretending to be innocent. The pink-haired boy then calls someone, asking for help and promising to pay. He vows to ruin Zhang Hao's reputation. The next day, Zhang Hao walks through the city, thinking about how his sister Chin Chin wanted to buy some item. On the other side of the road, two women are talking. One points Zhang Hao out to her companion, saying that this is the person someone wants punished. The other woman studies him, nodding he looks familiar. Then she realizes who he is and says he is the one Wei Nan likes. She quickly calls Wei Nan. At the same time, Wei Nan's secretary reports to her, saying she has urgent news about Zhang Hao. Wei Nan asks what it is. The secretary explains that someone from her staff, said a streamer, asked one of her subordinates to take indecent photos of Zhang Hao. Wei Nan coldly orders the contract with the person to be terminated and leaves the rest in the secretary's hands. Back at home, Zhang Hao is thinking about the value of the 990 yachts and wondering how Wei Nan can afford so much. Just then, she calls him. His sister walks in and asks who he is talking to. Zhang Hao quickly says it is just someone selling insurance, but he knows he is in trouble now. He ends the call, which leaves Wei Nan furious. She orders a car immediately. In his room, Zhang Hao realizes it was rude to hang up and plans to discuss returning the yacht money with her. Then she calls again, ordering him to come out of his house alone, or she will send someone to arrest him. Shocked, he asks if she is really going to break into his house. She responds calmly, saying her car is already outside. Looking out the window, he sees expensive cars. They are parked nearby. He tells her to have everyone leave. Then he tells his sister he is going to the convenience store. She offers to come with him, but he insists it is unnecessary. Outside, he calls Wei Nan to say he is out. She asks him who else he has offended, because someone has been watching him. As Zhang Hao walks through the city, Wei Nan gives him directions over the phone. She tells him to keep walking for 30 meters and turn right into a dark alley. She warns that the person might have a weapon, so he should be careful. Nervous, Zhang Hao asks if this is a good plan, pointing out the danger. Wei Nan reassures him that she is nearby and will help. Zhang Hao waits in the alley, urging her to hurry. Suddenly, a masked person appears. He asks who she is. She glares at him and charges forward. He dodges the first punch, then another. The masked attacker insults him. Zhang Hao realizes she is not very fast. As she strikes again, he sidesteps and sweeps her legs, knocking her down. He gets on top of the attacker, demanding to know who she is and why she is attacking him. The attacker, revealed to be a woman, angrily blames him for her troubles. Confused, Zhang Hao tells her to remove the mask and explain. She elbows him. He falls to the ground, dizzy. The masked woman pulls out a weapon. Just as she is about to strike, a punch lands from nowhere. Wei Nan has arrived, stepping in to stop the attacker. Zhang Hao recognizes the woman as Liu Xin. He asks if she is attacking him because he rejected her. Liu Xin angrily accuses him of seducing Wei Nan and chasing wealthy women. Wei Nan interrupts, saying Liu Xin's imprisonment had nothing to do with Zhang Hao. It was because Liu Xin used the Fang Hong name to bully others and extort protection money. Liu Xin yells back, calling Wei Nan a spoiled rich woman. She lunges at Wei Nan. Wei Nan easily counters. She says Liu Xin's background does not excuse her behavior. Wei Nan lands a punch, knocking her to the ground. Zhang Hao is left in shock. Once the situation is under control, he apologizes to Wei Nan and asks to be taken home so his sister will not worry. Wei Nan stares at him and asks if he has forgotten why she came to see him. Zhang Hao wonders if it is about the contract. Wei Nan says the contract is part of it, but the main reason is to warn him that someone is planning to secretly take compromising photos of him. Zhang Hao is confused why anyone would do that. Wei Nan brushes it off, saying what matters is that he hung up on her before she could explain. She asks if he does not want to talk to her. Zhang Hao apologizes, admitting it was wrong to hang up. Wei Nan then asks if he is willing to accept punishment. Before he can respond, she suddenly lines in. She kisses him. Zhang Hao struggles with his thoughts. He considers pushing her away, but her soft lips make it hard. He starts to kiss back. Then he suddenly thinks of his sister and pushes Wei Nan away. He asks why she is doing this and accuses her of playing with him. He points out he is a high school student and she just took his first kiss. Wei Nan questions if he is really a high school student, realizing this was his first kiss. Zhang Hao says that is not the point. He thanks her for helping him but says she took advantage of him. He also brings up the large donations she sent and says he wants to return them. She laughs, saying the money is nothing. What she wants to know is why he is avoiding signing the contract. He hesitates and says he cannot sign it right now. She demands a reason, but he says he cannot explain yet and suggests they go back. As they part, Wei Nan thinks to herself that she has never failed at anything she set her mind to. Back home, Zhang Hao lies in bed, reflecting. He wonders why he thought of his sister when he was with Wei Nan. He worries he might actually like her, but then scolds himself to wake up because she is his sister. The next day at school, Yahello greets him. He says good morning and thinks about how much easier it feels being with her after a day with Wei Nan. He notices she is wearing black stockings instead of white for the first time. She asks if he is all right. He says yes and offers her a gift, an AK-47 pendant. He thanks her for teaching him martial arts and says it is the gun she mentioned liking the most. Yahello takes the pendant and says she will treasure it. Zhang Hao replies that as long as she likes it, that is enough. Internally, he wonders why just the change of her stockings makes him feel something different. During lunch break, Zhang Hao and Yahello are eating together. He notices she keeps looking at her own legs and asks why. She explains it is because he has been staring at them all day. She asks if he likes her legs. He admits that he does, saying they are very beautiful. Yahello looks shy at first, then moves closer and tells him he can touch them if he wants. Surprised, Zhang Hao thinks it is unusual for such a well-behaved girl to say something like that, but sees no reason to refuse. Still, he realizes that simply touching her legs feels a bit strange. He suggests instead that she could sit on his lap. Without hesitation, Yahello stands and sits on his lap. Zhang Hao feels a wave of happiness, thinking how obedient she is, like a treasure in a world that often feels difficult for men. He says to himself that if he had an obedient sister like her, it would be perfect. Then he questions why he even wants an obedient sister, finding the thought unusual. He asks Yahello if she feels uncomfortable or disgusted. She admits she feels a little discomfort, but also says it feels warm and safe because no one has ever hugged her like this before. Zhang Hao thinks she may simply be starved for affection due to her family situation. He notices the keychain he gave her hanging on her wrist like a bracelet and asks about it. She says it is the first gift she has ever received from a friend, so she wanted to keep it close. This shocks Zhang Hao, who asks if no one has ever given her a gift before. Yahello explains her old friends only ever asked her for money. He tells her those people were not real friends and advises her to stay away from them. Then he asks if Yan Yuan ever asked her for money. Yahello says no, but Yan Yuan gave her strange books and movies that she avoided because Zhang Hao told her not to pay attention to such things. Zhang Hao thinks to himself that Yan Yuan must be up to something questionable. He advises Yahello to keep the keychain in her bag and promises to buy her a bracelet instead. Back in class, Zhang Hao is resting at his desk. He notices something unusual on the floor. As he reaches for it, someone else grabs it first. They shout, accusing him of bringing inappropriate items to school. Zhang Hao is confused and asks what they mean. The accuser continues to make a scene, saying the school is being ruined because of Zhang Hao. Students around them are shocked and wonder if the accusation is true. Some girls, however, defend Zhang Hao, saying he is not that type of person. Zhang Hao stays calm and points out that his desk drawer is often filled with things stuffed there by others. He says that whatever was found should not be blamed on him. He warns the accuser to stop causing trouble. The student leaves and classmates gather around Zhang Hao. Long comments that the person trying to frame him is clearly a pervert for putting such things in his drawer. The girls seem convinced Zhang Hao is innocent, and he reassures everyone that it is not a big issue. Outside the classroom, the same student is clearly plotting something more. The next day, Zhang Hao again finds inappropriate items hidden in his drawer. Frustrated, he throws them in the trash. He kicks the trash can, annoyed that it has been happening for days. Later, while training with Long mentions hearing boys gossiping about Zhang Hao bringing inappropriate things every day. Zhang Hao says it has been 4 days now, and someone is spending a lot just to damage his reputation. Long asks what they should do. Zhang Hao tells him not to panic and says he will find a way to catch the culprit. Later, he quietly speaks to Yahello and asks for her help. She agrees and they make preparations after school. That day, they install a small device in his drawer. Long says they will finally catch the pervert. The next morning, someone sneaks into the classroom early and approaches Zhang Hao's drawer. As soon as they touch it, a laser sensor activates with a beep. It takes a picture. Zhang Hao catches the culprit red-handed and mocks them, saying they have been working tirelessly to frame him. He throws the evidence back at them. The culprit demands to know how Zhang Hao figured it out. Zhang Hao says he simply installed an anti-theft device. He tells the person to meet him at the office. The culprit shouts for others not to let Zhang Hao go. Suddenly, several boys and even girls appear. Some of the girls try to grab Zhang Hao, saying they will drag him to the restroom. One girl swings at him, but Zhang Hao dodges and counters. Another person tries to kick him, but he blocks it. Suddenly, Yahello arrives, looking angry. The boys warn her to stay out of it, but she ignores them. She jumps at an attacker. She drives her knee into his nose, knocking him to the ground. She steps on him, blood pouring out. She turns to glare at another boy. Terrified, the boy tries to back away. She grabs him by the neck and says she will kill him. Zhang Hao quickly steps in, telling her to stop. He says he is fine and warns that if she keeps going, the situation will get more serious. With 3 people already down, a teacher arrives and demands to know what is going on. Zhang Hao thinks the situation has become messy. Later, the school makes an announcement. Zhang, a senior from class 4, is expelled for bringing prohibited items to school with the intent to slander Zhang Hao. Looking out the window, Long asks Zhang Hao if Yahello will be all right. Zhang Hao says he is not sure, but given her family background, it may not be easy for her. Later, Zhang Hao runs home. His father asks why he didn't call so he could pick him up. Zhang Hao says he is fine and goes to his bedroom. He calls Yahello, who answers with a crying voice. He asks what is wrong. She explains that after she got home, her mother locked her in the warehouse. It is dark and frightening. Shocked, Zhang Hao asks why she is in a warehouse. Yahello explains that whenever she makes a mistake, her mother sends her there. Feeling bad for her, Zhang Hao asks if she wants to talk to distract herself. They talk until she falls asleep. The next day, Zhang Hao wakes up with a headache and realizes he has caught a cold. Just then, his sister Chin enters. She says she came to wake him for breakfast, but noticed he has a fever. She insists he take medicine. Zhang Hao feels weak all over, thinking it is strange how a little rain made him this sick. Chin smiles and asks if he wants his sister to feed him. Flustered, Zhang Hao says no, pointing out that they are siblings. Chin seems a little confused, but backs off. Zhang Hao wonders if she suspects something, but dismisses the thought. She asks why his body is so weak and offers to help. Zhang Hao experiences some odd thoughts, but pushes them aside and takes the medicine himself. She wonders why he seems hesitant, questioning if he is hiding something. She brings him soup and he is touched. He thinks it is normal for his sister to care so much, especially since they are not blood related. Zhang Hao asks her why she is so kind to him. Chin pauses before saying it is because she is willing to take care of him for the rest of her life. Zhang Hao is startled, thinking her words sound more like a marriage vow. He quickly takes the bowl from her and says he can eat by himself. Watching her, he wonders if he is overthinking, since she always seems calm. After eating, he goes back to sleep. She stays by his side, watching him. He feels peaceful with her presence. When he falls asleep, she seems quietly happy, thinking that before, this closeness would have been impossible. She wonders if he truly dislikes her. Meanwhile, Wei Nan is also thinking about Zhang Hao. She admits she forcibly kissed him because he was too cute. She likes his confidence and finds him the most unique man she has ever met. Then she pauses and questions herself, wondering if she is thinking too much about this little man. While Zhang Hao is sleeping, several women are thinking about him. His phone suddenly rings, waking him up. It is Wei Nan, who nervously says she cannot sleep. Zhang Hao is confused about why she is calling him at 2 in the morning. He wonders if she expects him to tell her a bedtime story or sing her a song. She tells him to speak politely. He points out that she is the one disturbing him in the middle of the night, so she must have a reason. Wei Nan changes the topic and asks if he learned his fighting skills from Yahello. Zhang Hao realizes she has been investigating him again. She says Yahello is just average and suggests he should train with her instead. Wei Nan claims that with his foundation, she can turn him into a skilled bodyguard. Zhang Hao thinks to himself that this is ridiculous. First she wanted him to become a celebrity, now she wants him to be her bodyguard. He tells her he is only practicing casually and warns her not to call him again for no reason, or he will change his number. Wei Nan is surprised, but before she can respond, he ends the call. He gets up, preparing to start his day, and notices a note from his sister, reminding him to wear a jacket if he goes to the bathroom. He feels touched by her care. Suddenly, his sister appears, asking if he can help her choose clothes. She is wearing a revealing outfit that makes him immediately uncomfortable. Inwardly, he thinks if not for his strong self-control, he would be in trouble. He quickly chooses an outfit for her, and as she turns, he notices a tattoo on her ribs. His sister leaves for work, telling him to stay home and rest. Zhang Hao responds that he will and wishes her a good day. Alone, he begins thinking about money. He wants to return to his old life, but he needs funds. He remembers receiving a 50,000 bonus for reporting Liu Xin's crimes and decides to check on it. At the police station, he is told he cannot collect the money yet. It could take up to a month. He tries to insist, saying he is an adult, but they explain the terms were set by Wei Nan and that he should go to the Fang Hong group to speak to her. Meanwhile, Wei Nan receives word that Zhang Hao has come to collect the money. She notes that he hung up on her last night, but now he is coming to see her. Zhang Hao feels awkward going to her office so soon after their last conversation. In the elevator, a female guard comments on how handsome he is and asks what school he attends, assuming he is still a middle school student. Zhang Hao tries to politely escape the conversation. At the top floor, as he is about to step off, the guard grabs his hand and confesses that she believes in love at first sight now that she has seen him. She pleads for a chance. Just then, Wei Nan arrives and glares at the guard, ordering her to leave and saying she no longer needs to report to work. The guard drops to her knees, begging to keep her job. Zhang Hao steps in, saying the guard has done nothing wrong and asking why Wei Nan is firing her. Wei Nan snaps at him for interfering. The guard insists she has never made mistakes at work. Zhang Hao helps her stand, saying all girls have pride and losing a job is not the end of the world. The guard says if she is fired by Wei Nan, no other company will hire her. Wei Nan grabs Zhang Hao by the wrist, accusing him of flirting with the guard. Zhang Hao calmly asks which of her eyes saw him flirting. Zhang Hao pushes Wei Nan's hand away, saying he was only helping the guard up. He argues that firing someone over this is unreasonable. Wei Nan demands to know what they were talking about. Zhang Hao says it is none of her business. Wei Nan glares at him, saying he is making her angry. Zhang Hao notices her athletic figure from regular training and cannot help but glance. Wei Nan smirks and suggests they play a game. She says she will toss a cigarette into the air with her left hand, and he will use his right to catch it. If he catches it before she does, he wins. Confident in his reflexes, Zhang Hao agrees. Wei Nan throws the cigarette, and both reach for it. Zhang Hao catches it first, celebrating his win. But Wei Nan does not stop moving. She stumbles onto him, claiming she has lost. Zhang Hao suspects she is just using this as an excuse to be close to him, but decides not to argue. She teases him, saying he does not know how to be reserved, rolling up her skirt and touching her leg. Zhang Hao insists that he won and asks her to let the guard keep her job. Wei Nan then admits she does not know if she truly likes him, but he is the type of man she finds most attractive, confident, brave, and responsible. Zhang Hao brushes off her praise and asks for his 50,000. Wei Nan agrees but says she needs to go to the bathroom first. While waiting, Zhang Hao gets a call from his sister, who scolds him for not staying home. He lies, saying he is helping Long Long with homework. She tells him to come home soon. When Wei Nan returns, she has changed into a different outfit. Zhang Hao is startled by her beauty, thinking she rivals his sister. She notices him holding a cigarette and tells him kids should not smoke. Zhang Hao says he only lit it to smell the scent and asks why she changed her clothes. Wei Nan admits she needed to relax because she could not handle his presence. Zhang Hao thinks she is acting like a shameless president. He ignores it, focusing on the money. Wei Nan then says she does not think she needs to give him 50,000 because the market price of the cigarette is 60,000, meaning he owes her 10,000. Zhang Hao protests, saying there is no way a cigarette costs that much. Wei Nan smirks, saying the price is real, but she was only joking about making him pay. She then gives him the 50,000. Zhang Hao thanks her, saying that despite her temper, she is still trustworthy. He adds that they should probably see each other less, so her work can go more smoothly. Wei Nan smirks to herself, saying she will not let him go so easily. At home, Zhang Hao's sister and her friend are looking at old photos of him. Her friend comments that she has too many pictures of her brother. Chin Chin thinks to herself that this is her treasure, and she will have even more in the future. Zhang Hao arrives home earlier than expected, surprising them. Chin Chin is worried he might see the photo album. Her friend almost blurts out that they were looking at photos. Chin Chin quickly pinches her. She gives her a warning look. Zhang Hao asks what they are doing. Chin Chin quickly says they were just reading literature, and her friend agrees. Zhang Hao is curious and asks what kind of literature, saying he wants to see it. Chin Chin pretends to feel sleepy and leans on him. She then scolds him for going out when he should be resting at home. Zhang Hao says he was just bored. She warns him that his looks could cause trouble and he needs to be careful. Zhang Hao says he will protect himself and goes to his room. After he leaves, her friend asks why she will not let her brother see the album. Chin Chin coldly warns that if her friend interferes, they will no longer be friends. In his room, Zhang Hao thinks about how tiring it is to deal with Wei Nan. Looking out the window, he notices a man outside the house starring. He wonders if someone is targeting them again. He goes downstairs and sees that his sister's friend has already left. He asks why she left so quickly. Chin Chin says she had something to do. Zhang Hao then mentions seeing a man outside who seems suspicious and tells her to be careful. She pats his head, saying she is happy he is worried, but assures him she knows who the man is. Zhang Hao doubts it, but she explains the man sent her some pictures. Zhang Hao remembers and realizes it is the strange man from before. She tells him not to worry. Then she suddenly throws herself at him, holding his chin and teases him about blushing. He stammers, saying it is nothing, and insists he will go back to school the next day. She seems displeased and questions why he is in such a hurry, asking if he has a girlfriend there. Zhang Hao quickly denies having a girlfriend, saying he would not fall in love so early. His sister moves closer, teasing that having a handsome younger brother is both a blessing and a problem. She adds that she wishes she could keep him by her side, then quickly changes the subject and offers to drive him to school. The next morning, she drives him to school. At school, Long Long mentions that since the last incident, Yahello has been keeping to herself, and other students are avoiding her. They decide to check on her. When they greet her, Yahello looks happy. Zhang Hao apologizes for getting her involved before. She just asks if he is afraid of her. He reassures her that there is nothing to fear, especially because she is so obedient. She looks pleased. The girls in the class notice how close they are and comment that being isolated might be worth it if it meant getting Zhang Hao's attention. At lunch, Yahello opens her bento box full of dishes, while Zhang Hao is eating only bread. She offers him some of her food, which surprises him. As he eats, she stares at his hand and asks if she can touch it. Zhang Hao coughs in surprise and asks why. Yahello explains that the girls in the class tease her for never having kissed or held a boy's hand, saying she is wasting her looks and is too naive. He reassures her that there is no rush. Yahello recalls her grandmother, telling her not to let others belittle her. She suddenly asks if she can kiss him. Zhang Hao is startled, but after thinking it over, says that if a kiss will help her feel better, he does not mind. She moves closer, and he gently takes her by the neck, offering to take the lead if she feels shy. She blushes, and they share a kiss. Yuehua's heart races as they kiss. Zhang Hao thinks to himself that the moment feels perfect. A knock at the door startles them. Yuehua reassures him that the door is locked. Zhang Hao jokes that now she has kissed someone, no one can tease her anymore. Yuehua takes his hand and places it over her chest, asking why her heart is beating so fast and if she is sick. Caught off guard, he tries to explain calmly, saying it is just dopamine from feeling happy. Inwardly, he worries that she might develop feelings for him, which could be complicated. Yuehua admits she enjoyed the kiss and wants to practice more. Zhang Hao tries to explain that friends do not normally kiss each other. He tells her that she should not try this with anyone else, only him if she insists. She agrees. He says he will teach her slowly. Later, Yuehua is alone in her room watching a video, curious to see if her heart will race. She watches the entire thing but feels nothing. She recalls Zhang Hao saying that Yan's heart beat faster from similar things and wonders why hers did not. Thinking of Zhang Ha's promise to teach her slowly, she calls him. She explains that she watched the video Yuan sent, but felt no reaction and asks why. Zhang Hao is alarmed, knowing Yuan likely sent something inappropriate. When he hesitates, Yuehua says she will stop asking him such questions. He reassures her that she can ask anything, but suggests they discuss it later because he is about to shower. She says she will shower too and suggests they talk during. He agrees, reminding her to keep her phone away from the water. As they start their showers, Zhang Hao feels awkward. Yuehua says she is washing her hair, and he replies he is doing the same. Meanwhile, his sister wonders who he is talking to in the bathroom. She suspects he might have a girlfriend and decides to check. She sits on his bed and messages Long, asking if many girls pursue Zhang Hao. Long replies that of course they do because he is handsome. She asks if he has a girlfriend, and Long says no, telling her she can relax. She is pleased, thinking she still has a chance, and decides to stay in his room. Back in the bathroom, Zhang Hao suggests to Yuehua that he will find better resources to help her understand things, rather than letting her rely on random material. When Zhang Hao returns to his room, he sees a shape under his blanket. Pulling it back, he finds his sister, who says she fell asleep waiting to watch a movie with him. He apologizes for taking so long in the shower. Meanwhile, his phone shows some questionable open content, which makes him feel awkward with his sister in his bed. He sends Yuehua a message saying he will talk to her later. He asks his sister what movie she wants to watch. She says she prefers horror movies, so she can cling to someone if she gets scared. She says she will shower first and tells him to wait in the living room. Zhang Hao imagines how she will return and braces himself. He remembers that in his old world, girls would cling to guys during horror movies, but in this world, it might be the other way around. When she comes back, she is wearing only a nightgown. Zhang Hao is stunned and asks what she is doing. She ignores the question and asks if he picked a movie. He thinks to himself that he needs to start the movie quickly before temptation becomes too strong. She notices him blushing and teases him about it. Zhang Hao insists he is not blushing, saying it is just hot. She thinks it is better to take her time. If he gets scared, he will move closer to her. The movie begins. It is about a figure climbing out of a well, but in this version, it is a man. Zhang Hao thinks revering the roles makes it less scary. However, his sister clings to him in fright. He asks if she is scared. She apologizes, worried he will think she is weak. Inwardly, she admits she is terrified. He hugs her, saying it is normal to be scared of ghosts. She feels happy that her plan is working, even though she ended up clinging to him instead of the other way around. Zhang Hao admits to himself that his heart races when she is close, but he has no improper thoughts. He imagines his father walking in and warning him not to cross the line. When she asks what he is thinking about, he says it is nothing. He mentions it is late and time to rest. She grabs his hand, suggesting they go upstairs. Zhang Hao notices she is acting more feminine than usual, which surprises him. As he goes to his room, she asks if she can sleep with him. He assumes it is because the movie scared her and feels bad for her, but he worries that he will not be able to sleep well with her beside him. When she pouts, he gives in and says she can. She lies down next to him, commenting that he was brave not to be scared. He says she does not need to hide her fear from him because they are family. She shyly hugs him, resting her head against his neck, leaving Zhang Hao frozen in place. Morning comes and his sister wakes up cheerful. She says that sleeping next to him was wonderful and she has never slept so well. Zhang Ha, on the other hand, is wide-eyed and exhausted. She asks what happened. He thinks back to her resting her head on his chest all night, keeping him from sleeping. She assumes his tiredness is because of nightmares from the horror movie and says they should stop watching them. Zhang Hao just pretends to agree, thinking to himself how drained he feels. While brushing his teeth, he gets messages from Long Long. Long Long has made sticker images of Zhang Hao, with captions like the baby is angry and the male god is upset. Long Long says he will post them online, expecting them to go viral. Zhang Hao tells him to stop. Downstairs, Zhang Hao asks his sister what she is doing. She says she received the stickers from Long Long and likes them. Zhang Hao says they are nonsense and she should not use them. At school, girls approach him, saying they have the sticker pack and asking for his autograph. Embarrassed, he runs off to confront Long Long, demanding he delete them. During this, Yahello asks Zhang Hao if he is upset. He says it is just a joke. He notices she has trimmed her hair and asks about it. She says she cut her bangs to look cuter for him. Zhang Hao thinks she is much easier to deal with than his sister, or Wei Nan, because of how obedient she is. Yahello tells him she wants to show him a new secret spot after school. They end up in an old room under a desk, which feels like a forbidden place. As they hide, someone else seems to be using the room for romantic encounters. Yahello tries to speak, but Zhang Hao covers her mouth to keep her quiet. She blushes and starts licking his hand. This leaves Zhang Hao stunned. Yahello leans in and says he knows what she wants. She suddenly kisses him with enthusiasm. Zhang Hao cannot resist and lets her kiss him. He thinks to himself that she is always affectionate, they are in the same class, and she is always close to him. The only concern is if his sister finds out, then she would never take care of him again. As Yahello continues, he gently stops her to explain that she should breathe when kissing. She says she will keep practicing, but he urges her to calm down, reminding her that they need to return to class. Later, they are holding hands, and Zhang Hao starts wondering if he should date her. But then he remembers his sister and decides he cannot make that choice. He notices that Wei Nan did not even cross his mind. Meanwhile, Wei Nan is in her office with her secretary. The secretary suggests they should use Zhang Ha's growing popularity to their advantage, as even random photos of him at the mall made him famous. Wei Nan firmly says she does not want his image all over the internet because she intends for him to be hers. The secretary informs her it is too late. Emoji packs of him are already selling fast. Wei Nan is furious when she sees the images spreading online. She thinks about how she cannot stop focusing on him and bites her finger in frustration. She says everyone should forget him because he will be hers. On his way home, Zhang Hao sees a familiar car parked outside. Wei Nan is waiting. He walks over, telling her they agreed not to meet, and asks her to erase him from her life. She admits they had agreed to stop seeing each other, but she could not control herself when she saw his photos spreading online and women talking about him. She grabs him by the collar, upset that others think they can get close to him. Zhang Hao worries his sister might see them and tells Wei Nan to leave with him in the car. During the drive, he explains the type of woman he likes, someone cute, sometimes playful and obedient. Wei Nan, he says, is the opposite, always disagreeing with him and acting bossy. He feels being with her is suffocating because she wants control over everything. She asks if he prefers weak women and wonders if women in his old world were like that. He avoids answering but insists she is not his type. Wei Nan scoffs, saying other women cannot compare to her. She points out she has money, power, and fame, and if he were with her, he could live comfortably while she provided everything. Zhang Hao admits her offer sounds tempting, but says she will likely lose interest in him and move on if she meets another attractive man. Wei Nan then brings up Yahello, asking if he thinks Yahello is different. Zhang Hao snaps, telling her not to involve Yahello, but accidentally uses a familiar nickname for her. Wei Nan notices and becomes jealous. Zhang Hao brushes it off, saying nicknames are just a way friends talk. He suggests they remain just friends and stop following each other around. Back at the house, Zhang Hao runs into the man he saw earlier near the property. The man claims he is a friend of his sister and asks Zhang Hao to deliver a gift to her. Zhang Hao recognizes him as the person who sent questionable photos to his sister. Zhang Hao confronts the man, saying he knows he is the one sending inappropriate content to his sister. He warns him to stay away, or he will call the police for harassment. The man leaves but vows to make Zhang Hao's sister like him, no matter what. Inside, Zhang Hao's sister greets him, saying she did not feel like cooking and bought fast food instead. She adds that it is fine to enjoy junk food occasionally. As they eat, Zhang Hao notices she seems troubled and asks what is wrong. She admits she is upset because of how popular he has become online, especially after the emoji pack spread. At work, she saw people looking at his photos, which made her jealous. Zhang Hao tells her not to worry, as it will all fade away soon. He has no interest in being an internet celebrity. She says it is good he feels that way because fame is risky, and if he used his looks for money, people might start taking photos of him in ways only she should see. That evening, she knocks on his bedroom door. He is sitting at his computer. She asks if she can work beside him without disturbing him. He says she can stay. She says she is happy and gives him a gift, her daily salary of 3,000 yuan. Zhang Hao is surprised, thinking about how in his previous life he worked an entire month to earn far less. He asks how she makes so much at her age. She explains that even though she is not yet a fully certified surgeon, she can assist in surgery. As one of the top students in her class, she has special privileges, and as a cardiac surgery assistant, she is in high demand. Zhang Hao praises her, saying she is amazing. He adds that with her earnings, their parents will not need to work so hard. She says they have not been working much lately, and are going on a trip she is paying for. Zhang Hao realizes this means he and his sister will be alone in the house for a while. Her expression suggests she is planning something. Later, Zhang Hao is in the bathroom telling himself to stay calm and avoid looking at her. But as soon as he sees her, his resolve breaks. He notices she has changed clothes again, each set shorter than the last. She says she wanted to be more comfortable while working, so she changed into pajamas. She lies on his bed to study. As time passes, Zhang Hao sees her glancing at him often. When she notices him looking back, she says her shoulder hurts and asks if she can have a massage. Soon, he is helping her relax. She then mentions that they will be alone over the weekend and could spend time together. Zhang Hao realizes they have never gone out just the two of them, so he agrees. She says she will plan something carefully, calling it her first date with her brother. Zhang Hao is confused by her choice of words, but ignores it. Later at night, he says it is time to sleep. She surprisingly goes to her own room. He breathes a sigh of relief. His phone rings, and it is Wei Nan. She insists she only wants him as her boyfriend and no one else. Zhang Hao asks why she keeps following him if she hates men. Wei Nan explains that her life exposed her to manipulative men from a young age. She spent most of her youth working and later joined the army. She admits she does not know how to take care of someone, only how to work, run a business, make money, and fight. She says she wants to learn how to care for him and will give him anything he wants, even mentioning she could take him to space one day because her company is researching rockets. Zhang Hao says he is not interested in going to space. He tells her it is late and hangs up. Though he cut her off, he reflects that she never had a real childhood, which might explain her intense behavior. Before falling asleep, he remembers his sister telling him not to look at anyone else while clinging to him. Morning comes, and at school, Zhang Hao is greeted by Yahello. He asks why she is late. She says she was thinking about kissing him. She lines in to kiss him, but he tells her to keep it quiet, as that is a secret she should not say in public. She touches his hand and says they should kiss. Zhang Hao tells her to calm down, explaining that kissing is something private and should not be done at school. She says they can kiss at her house after school. He suggests focusing on class for now. He notices she looks disappointed. He feels sorry for her. He knows that in this world his body reacts differently, and once things start, it will be hard to stop. During the break, he leaves with Long Long. Girls crowd around him, calling him the emoji guy and asking for autographs. He wonders why the situation is getting worse. Long Long shows him a video titled The God Who Appears Once Every 70,000 Years. This frustrates Zhang Hao. One girl even tries to grab him, but Yahello quickly twists her wrist. The other girls are shocked, knowing Yahello can fight. Zhang Hao tells her to calm down. The principal arrives and orders everyone to leave. Meanwhile, two boys who often cause trouble for Zhang Hao are talking. One says Zhang Hao has stolen all his attention and fans. The other scoffs, saying Zhang Hao only has looks. He cannot sing, dance, or do anything else. Just then, they hear girls talking about luxury cars parked outside. When they look, there is a lineup of expensive vehicles. Standing there is Wei Nan. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories. Long Long notices a row of expensive cars and is surprised. Zhang Hao just waves it off, and suggests getting something to eat. He still does not understand why he has suddenly become so famous. At that moment, his phone rings. It is the well-known Wei, who asks if she really has to follow him even to school. She invites him to dinner, but he says he is already eating with his classmates. She anticipated this and came prepared. She got out of the car and ordered a massive feast. The staff begins setting up an extravagant table. As soon as Zhang Hao sees it, he calls her in a panic. He tells her to stop and says he will eat with her after all. Yahello notices something unusual and asks him what is going on. He makes an excuse and runs off. This leaves her looking sad. Wei notices Yahello's expression and smiles slyly. Zhang Hao tells Wei that he does not want anyone to know about what is going on between them, warning that if anyone finds out, he will never speak to her again. She feels hurt but also finds him cute. She orders the staff to pack everything away and leave. Later, she waits for him at the corner wearing a hat. He approaches and asks if she wants to eat out. She agrees, but he says he will choose the place. He takes her to a rundown restaurant, hoping she will dislike it. He claims it is his favorite, but guesses she will not like it because she is wealthy. She indeed finds it unpleasant, which satisfies him. Inside the shabby restaurant, Wei is shocked at the condition of the place. She tries to pay the owner to keep other customers out. Zhang Hao quickly objects, saying that if she does that, poorer people will have nowhere to eat. He warns her not to flaunt her wealth, or they should leave. She thinks he is difficult to deal with. Zhang Hao orders instant noodles with a fried egg. Wei studies the menu and questions whether such cheap food is safe. Embarrassed, Zhang Hao says he has eaten it his whole life and is still fine. The restaurant owner becomes impatient with her hesitation, telling her to order quickly. Wei insists that her food be made with gloves and fresh ingredients, offering money to ensure it. Zhang Hao feels this is going too far, but she grabs his attention, telling him to look only at her. He realizes she is even jealous of the restaurant owner. When she asks if he really eats here, he explains that this is where poorer people eat. She has trouble understanding this because she is surrounded by wealthy people. He makes it clear he does not want to be pampered or supported by her. If that is her goal, she can leave. The restaurant owner comes out dressed in full professional attire, like a top chef. She serves the food, which looks impressive. Wei admits it is edible and says she has had worse while in the army, especially considering her feelings for him. Zhang Hao thinks she is a little crazy. She tries to stop him from eating it, saying it is not clean or nutritious, but her concern shows in her own way. Suddenly, she asks why he kisses so well and who taught him. He brushes it off, claiming he learned from television. She warns him not to let her find out about any other women, or she will act on it. He is taken aback. The scene changes to Zhang Hao talking with Long in his room. Long asks about a lipstick and whether it will look good. Zhang Hao is uninterested, but Long insists on showing his sister's reaction. They go to Long's sister's room, where she is drawing. Surprised, she asks what they are doing there. Zhang Hao sees her sketchbook, which contains drawings of him surrounded by girls. When he questions her, she claims her friends forced her to draw it. She insists she cannot even read properly. However, Zhang Hao finds a file on her computer with 500 gigabytes of study material, proving she can read. She angrily asks how he found out so quickly. Zhang Hao says she needs to be taught a lesson, confiscating everything and telling her to focus on studying instead of making such drawings. He promises to grant her a wish if she follows his rules. Just then, Zhang Hao's sister calls, asking what he is doing. He says he is leaving Long's house. She offers to pick him up, concerned for his safety. At her office, a colleague asks about the call. Another friend invites her to a bar to meet attractive men, but she refuses, saying she already has someone handsome to go out with on Saturday. The friend asks who it is, but she says she will reveal it later. The friend then hands her something, advising her to be careful. A man nearby, possibly a colleague, overhears and looks upset. He learns where she will be shopping and plans to confront them. She later arrives home and hears Zhang Hao streaming in another room. She wonders why he is doing it at this hour. During the stream, Zhang Hao is angry because people have discovered he is the rare, once in 70,000 years player. He wanted to keep his gaming identity separate from his personal image, but now even players in the game are recognizing him and harassing him to remove his mask. Suddenly, his sister shuts off the computer and orders him to stop playing. The night before, she had grabbed his arm, begging him to quit streaming because people would recognize him and learn where he lives. She feared that if he became too famous, he would not be able to stay home and might forget about her if he started meeting new people. He reassured her that streaming was only temporary and that he would not forget his family. She still felt uneasy. At school, Zhang Hao reflects on how much more she has been following him lately and wonders if it is just sibling concern or something more. He checks his earnings from the previous night's stream and sees 38,000 yuan, roughly $5,000 to $7,000, even after the platform took its cut. He is amazed at how profitable it is, but reminds himself that his main goal is to return to his original world. Later, he arrives at school and is greeted by a crowd of fans, along with Long. Many girls promise to support him. The boys who dislike him complain that he has become even more famous. Some believe he only has looks and nothing else special. One boy with ill intentions plans something. While Zhang Hao is changing in the bathroom, the boy watches him. He secretly takes photos of him. Long walks in and comments on Zhang Hao's abs. The boy accidentally drops his phone, and Zhang Hao notices. Checking the phone, he finds the photos and provocatively tells the boy to take as many as he wants, handing it back. The boy thinks Zhang Hao is crazy. Zhang Hao does this because he refuses to appear bothered by such actions, believing it is better to face it boldly. Zhang Hao follows the boy on the street, thinking of how to make him stop taking pictures. The boy, still annoyed at being caught, is suddenly grabbed by someone and pulled into an alley. Zhang Hao turns the corner and sees that it is Wei's men. He realizes she orchestrated this. One of the men warns the boy to say nothing and disappear. Zhang Hao calls Wei to ask what she plans to do with the boy. She admits it was her doing, saying the boy should face the consequences. Zhang Hao tells her to let him handle matters at school himself, but she insists on doing things her own way. Frustrated, Zhang Hao hangs up and hopes the boy will still show up at school the next day. The following day, the boy appears, but acts overly polite and clearly afraid. Zhang Hao guesses he was beaten. While eating, Yahello notices Zhang Hao seems distracted and asks what is wrong. He says it is nothing, just a headache. Suddenly, she begins massaging his face, saying it helped her before and might help him now. She then hugs him, explaining that it makes her happy, and so does kissing. Zhang Hao, trying to stay composed, says he wants to make her happy too, thinking about how gentle and romantic she is being. Zhang Hao thanks Yahello for her affection and hugs her, but realizes that, while he enjoys the hugs from his sister and from Wei, they never make him feel as relaxed as when he is with Yahello. His half-sister is beautiful, but being family makes such closeness feel wrong. Wei is attractive, but being involved with her feels dangerous. Only Yahello gives him a genuine sense of calm. Yahello begins kissing his neck, asking for a kiss, and even starts removing her shirt. Zhang Hao urges her to slow down, though he secretly wants it too, just not in public. He asks if she has been watching certain types of movies, but she denies it. He suspects she has seen something that made her act so boldly. He tells her that such intimacy should only happen between couples who understand love. When she asks what love is, he gives a vague answer, then adds that it is about feeling relaxed with someone. He asks if she feels that way with him, explaining that if they were ever to date, it should be about love, not just physical attraction. After this talk, he tells her it's time to return to class. She stays quiet the whole time. Later, Long calls Zhang Hao, warning him to be careful and suggesting that Yahello might be taking advantage of him. Zhang Hao insists they are just friends, but starts to realize that Wei's people could find out about Yahello. He decides to keep some distance to protect her. That night during a live stream, his sister enters, takes the microphone, and ends the broadcast, telling the viewers he is going to sleep. She invites him to lie on her lap so she can give him a massage. Zhang Hao, unaware of her deeper intentions, thinks she is just being caring. She warns him that many viewers may have bad intentions and tells him not to share personal information, even if they ask for measurements. When he asks what she means, she says he is too innocent. She offers to teach him how to measure 4 things. He guesses hips, waist, chest, and wonders what the 4th could be. His sister then begins measuring his chest, lifting his shirt. He is shocked, but she compliments his abs, running her hand over them and admitting she is envious. She then says he feels warm and starts to pull down his shorts. Alarmed, he reacts and she snaps out of it, realizing she almost lost control. He notices she seems shy and finds her unexpectedly cute. The next morning, they have coffee together. She reminds him of their planned date, but he doubts she understands what date means. Half an hour later, she comes downstairs dressed beautifully, looking better than any girl he has seen online. He tells her she looks great and goes to change. At the mall, Zhang Hao notices the man who has been lurking near their home. His sister confirms it is the same person and that they are being followed. Zhang Hao offers to confront him, but she stops him, explaining that the man works in her lab and causing trouble could risk her job. Instead, she asks him for a favor. She asks him to pretend to be her boyfriend so the man will back off. Zhang Hao agrees, and she feels both embarrassed and pleased. They start their act by playing at a claw machine for stuffed animals. She says she has heard that men like receiving them, so she tries to win some for him. They enjoy ice cream, wear cat ear headbands, and have fun together. Later, noticing the man is still following them, Zhang Hao suggests holding hands to make their act more convincing. Even after all this, the man continues to trail them. Then his sister suddenly warns that the man is approaching. She kisses Zhang Hao, catching him off guard. The man is shocked to see them kiss in public. His sister, secretly pleased, had planned this encounter by leaking their location to ensure the kiss would happen. She apologizes for kissing him without warning and asks if it startled him. He says it's fine and asks where the man went. She replies that he seems to have left, while inwardly savoring the fact that she kissed him and he did not get angry. She apologizes again, saying she could not control herself in a stressful moment. Zhang Hao reassures her, though he points out that kissing in public is inappropriate. She argues that, since they are not related by blood, it is not a big deal and that their close relationship justifies it. She teases him, asking if he enjoyed it. He knows he did, but worries that admitting it could change their relationship in ways that might upset their parents. He tells her the kiss was nothing serious and should be kept appropriate since they are family. She, however, is encouraged, believing this means he has some feelings for her. She decides that, for the rest of the day, they will act like a couple, just as they agreed earlier. Two girls nearby notice them and decide to extort money from them. As the girls approach, his sister puts her hand in her pocket, ready to use a knife if necessary. Not wanting to risk her brother's safety, she throws them a handful of cash instead. The girls threaten to hurt Zhang Hao, but he steps in, confident they will not succeed. One girl tries to punch him, but he dodges easily and strikes her in the stomach, sending her flying. The other girl flees after he challenges her. He turns to his sister and promises to protect her. She is surprised at his strength, remembering him as timid in the past. She recalls how, in their childhood, she never wanted to be apart from him, even when he stopped talking to her. She always watched over him and protected him. Since she joined his family, he used to confide in her, but lately he has been more independent and secretive. Zhang Hao notices her deep in thought and asks what is wrong, but she brushes it off and tells him to take a bath. While he showers, she uses his computer and finds the novel he has been writing. As he relaxes in the shower, she picks it up. She begins reading it. The story describes a world opposite to their own. When he returns, she is gone, but she soon appears with a glass of milk and asks about his writing. He dismisses it as casual, deciding not to let her know too much. She presses him, saying he has been acting strangely, training in Muay Thai, and defending her so strongly earlier in the day. She says the Zhang Hao she knew was different, and admits she is worried about him. Her intense look makes him wonder if she might know something about the body's previous owner. He asks if she knew him before becoming his sister. She looks surprised and says that yes, they knew each other since childhood. Zhang Hao is shocked when his sister says they have known each other since childhood. He wonders why he has no memory of it. She explains they spent their early years together and asks how he could forget. He tells her it must be because it was so long ago. Inside, he senses she is suspicious and possibly connecting this to his trip to the Red Moon. He decides to act clueless to keep her from pressing further. He tells her that he often dreams about a little girl fighting with other kids and that her fierce eyes make him want to become stronger. This is why he started exercising and practicing Muay Thai. He adds that he was only brave enough to face the gang members at the mall because she was beside him, certain she would not let anything bad happen. She blushes and assures him that is true. Zhang Hao thinks the best way to deal with her is to act weak, so she will try to protect him. She wonders if she scared him so much as a child that he forgot everything, but decides that now she has a chance to rewrite their story. She announces that she is going to punish him for scaring her and begins tickling him. They laugh until they collapse on the bed, breathless. She reminds him not to scare her again. Then she climbs on top of him, saying they agreed to be a couple for the whole day, and the day is not over. He protests that there is no need to pretend now that no one is following them, but she insists. Just as their faces draw closer, they hear the door open. Their parents have returned unexpectedly from a trip. Startled, she quickly leaves his room, still flushed, and asks him to tell their mother she has a fever. Zhang Hao thinks to himself that his sister is dangerous. This makes him recall how his real mother left when he was very young, forcing his father to work constantly and leaving Zhang Hao to grow up in daycare. It was there that he first met the little sister who would later join his family, a girl no one else spoke to until he approached her. As a child, Zhang Hao had introduced himself to the lonely girl, but she had glared at him and stayed silent. Now in the present, she is thrilled about the kiss they shared earlier. She replays it in her mind, sweating from excitement, wondering if he likes her too. Meanwhile, Zhang Hao realizes she is interested in him and admits to himself that she is kind, caring, smart, financially capable, and skilled at cooking and cleaning. She is, in his eyes, the perfect partner. He even admits he has a crush on her, though he worries about what their father would think. At dinner, their mother asks if she took care of him while they were away. She answers that he took care of her too, which confuses him. He excuses himself, saying he is going to a friend's house. On the way, he hopes she will not tell anyone about their earlier closeness. He meets Yahello in the city, dressed provocatively, and scolds her for it in his thoughts. She explains that she wanted to meet him halfway so they could spend more time together. They head to her mansion, where she invites him to choose what they should do. He finds her words easy to misinterpret. She shows him around and points out her large, Olympic-sized pool. She admits she considered taking him to see new weapons in her arsenal, but decided the pool might be more fun. Zhang Hao is impressed but says he does not have a swimsuit. She tells him the butler has prepared several options. They agree to race, with the winner allowed to ask the loser for a favor. Zhang Hao chooses a modest swimsuit. He notices an extra piece that falls out. He ignores it and tosses it aside. They count down and dive in. While Zhang Hao swims skillfully, Yahello sinks immediately. She cannot swim. Zhang Hao quickly rescues her. He asks why she challenged him if she could not swim. She says she thought it would be easy after watching others. As they talk, someone points out that his swimsuit has become see-through in the water. He realizes the missing piece was meant to prevent this and hurries to change. The girls explain that the suit was intentionally designed to be revealing. Zhang Hao grumbles about this strange, reversed world. Yahello then suggests exploring other parts of the house. He tells her to slow down, but she asks if she has done something to make him distant. He reassures her, but internally he knows it is because Wei likely has spies watching him, and getting close to Yahello could create trouble. Wei's position as a powerful heiress makes the situation even more dangerous. Zhang Hao says he has problems he cannot share. Yahello becomes emotional, insisting she wants to stay by his side, no matter what. He thanks her but says they should spend less time together until his problems are solved. She cries, saying she wants to be with him forever. After a pause, she leaves for her room, leaving him speechless. Zhang Hao sits, thinking about the complicated situation, when Yahello's butler approaches. The butler apologizes for overhearing their conversation and explains that Yahello can be spoiled, but cares deeply for him. He warns that if Zhang Hao suddenly distances himself, she will notice and be hurt. The butler reveals that in the past, Yahello's wealth made her a target for bullying. Classmates took money from her, beat her, and left her isolated. One incident ended with her mother humiliating a boy's family, which only made others fear and avoid her. This deepened her loneliness, and now she is afraid of losing Zhang Hao as well. Zhang Hao realizes he cannot just leave things as they are, or she will feel even more insecure. He decides he must talk to her again. The butler suggests she might be in the maid's quarters. A maid leads him there, where Yahello is standing quietly by the window. Yahello stands alone, looking sad and close to tears. Before Zhang Hao can speak, she begins talking about her childhood, how she liked watching the sky because her parents were always away. She would watch planes and hope they were coming home. Zhang Hao remembers what the butler told him about her loneliness and isolation. He reassures her that they are still friends and that he will not leave her alone. She says she understands he cannot stay close because of the dangers he faces, but she insists she wants to help and is not afraid of trouble. She recalls how she used to hand out money to others without protecting her friends, which led to her being isolated. Her mother, a strict and powerful woman, hates failure in a daughter. Yahello says Zhang Hao is her best friend, and she will defend him no matter the risk. Surprised by her determination, Zhang Hao tells her that loyalty alone will not help, and that it is safer if they avoid each other at school. He says he will even keep his distance from other friends, but he promises to visit her at home so she will not feel lonely. She asks if he would still answer her calls every day. He agrees. As he talks, she begins to cheer up. She hugs him tightly, thanks him, and says her life has improved greatly since he came into it, calling him the most important person to her. The scene shifts to a war-torn battlefield with ruins, fire, and injured soldiers. Wei Nan lies on the ground, bloodied but still fierce. Suddenly, it is revealed to be only a dream. She wakes in bed, relieved. Her secretary enters, mentioning that she has been sleeping a lot. Wei Nan asks about the Red Moon research. The secretary says there has been no progress. Determined, she gets ready for the day. At that moment, Yahello thinks about Zhang Hao and wonders if they will remain friends for life or become something more. At the same time, Zhang Hao wonders the same thing. She disarms him emotionally with a simple smile and a slight lean forward, almost kissing him. He stops her, saying they should slow down. She claims she just felt like giving a quick kiss and nothing more. But he says it is not appropriate here. His phone rings. It is Wei Nan. She demands that he visit her. When he refuses, she threatens to go to his parents' house with a gift. Shocked, he accuses her of going too far. But she insists she will wait for him at her place. At that moment, the butler announces that people are outside calling for him. When Zhang Hao steps out, he sees Wei Nan and her bodyguards waiting. Wei Nan's bodyguards surround the place, and tensions rise. Yahello steps in, saying she will protect Zhang Hao, but he knows she is no match for Wei Nan's military training. If they fight, Yahello could be seriously hurt. Zhang Hao tries to calm the situation, telling Wei Nan to speak her mind. He turns to Yahello, tells her to go home, and says not to worry. Yahello refuses to let him go, sensing danger. The butler grows angry, accusing Wei Nan of blocking the mansion and trying to take away his lady's friend. Wei Nan remains calm but firm, calling Zhang Hao her man and ordering him into the car. Yahello argues back, saying no one can boss him around. Wei Nan gives a final warning for him to get in the car. Yahello tries to punch her. Wei Nan easily blocks the attack. She then counters with a swift high kick, forcing Yahello to step back. Yahello narrowly dodges. Zhang Hao, seeing this escalate, tells Yahello to stop resisting. Wei Nan orders her men to remove Yahello. She then tells Zhang Hao to come with her, and everything will be fine. With no other choice, Zhang Hao gets in the car. As they drive away, he criticizes Wei Nan for starting a fight at his friend's house. She blames his closeness with other girls for making her angry. He tells her he is not the type to enjoy being guarded and followed. She suddenly admits she has never been with a man before. This shocks him, leaving him unsure how to respond. He had assumed she must have dated many men, given her beauty and status. When they arrive, she questions him about Yahello and her family. He insists they are only friends and asks why she keeps threatening the people around him. She says she went to his parents' house, intending to propose marriage. Zhang Hao is stunned. She claims she deserves him and would have forced the issue if she wanted to. He says it is impossible between them and that he does not like strong women. She replies that life is short and she will take what she wants. Pulling him close, she whispers about her Red Moon research, asking if he is interested. He brushes it off. While trying to leave, he accidentally knocks over a porcelain piece. She coldly says it was worth 200 million. Now he realizes he owes her a massive debt. Wei Nan tells him to pay. When he says it is impossible, she offers to reduce the debt to 100 million. The first payment would be 10 million per month. If he cannot pay, he will have to negotiate with his body. Zhang Hao is shocked by the amount, but thinks the terms are not entirely bad. Before his thoughts go too far, a mysterious girl from the Red Moon appears in his mind, flicking his forehead and asking if he is serious. Later, Zhang Hao returns home at night to find his sister waiting outside. She notices an antique in his hand, but he says it is just a gift from a friend. She offers to buy him one if he is interested, but he declines. He casually asks how much money she has saved. She says around 3 or 4 million. She offers to give it all to him, but he tells her to relax and says he was only concerned about her spending. She misreads this as deep care. In his room, Zhang Hao starts a live stream. Knowing he needs to earn 100 million, he asks his manager for advice. Viewers flood the chat, suggesting he remove his mask for huge gifts, but his manager advises him to wait and use his rare, once in 70,000 years, status later for greater profits. Zhang Hao tells the audience he will not remove the mask yet and asks what they want to see. Some suggest shooter games, others inappropriate ideas, and one suggests singing. He refuses anything indecent and decides to sing instead, remembering he sang well in his past life. His performance surprises the viewers, who praise his voice and send expensive gifts. He starts to wonder how much they are worth when someone requests a specific song. He refuses to sing the requested song, but offers to perform others. As he continues, more donations pour in. The chat fills with fans swooning over him. They call him a once-in-70,000 years treasure. He starts wondering if this pace could actually solve his money problem. He then announces that anyone who donates 3 yachts will have their wish granted. When the stream ends, he thanks everyone and considers streaming longer to earn more. But he realizes he can't stay up too late. His sister might scold him, and his father could forbid him from streaming entirely. He notices that singing brings in far more income than gaming, making about 50,000 in one session. Still, he knows even streaming daily won't be enough to pay his debt. Suddenly his phone rings. It's Wei Nan. He assumes she's calling to demand repayment, but he is surprised when she says she just wants to see him and asks for a photo. She calls him sly, which irritates him. He agrees but demands 5 million be deducted from his debt in exchange. She talks him down to 1 million, and he accepts, thinking that even 1 million less is worth it. He sends the photo, annoyed by her persistence. He then briefly considers asking Yahello for help, but he realizes that even with his streams and her money, he still has a long way to go. He decides he can't rely solely on her. The next day he writes out a plan, find someone to lend him money, avoid selling his body, sing live, and send more photos to Wei Nan. He reminds himself he is still 100 million in debt and feels doomed. Thinking about his recent streaming success, he calls his manager to ask for advice. She's surprised he reached out first, but offers ideas. She says she won't suggest anything like acting cute or stripping, and notes that his singing streams have been popular. She recommends trying a new game that just launched. When he asks which game, she sends him PUBG. He wonders if he can get sponsorship or promotional deals for playing it. During his next stream, his sister comes into his room, asking if he's hungry or wants to sleep. The chat instantly explodes with comments about the two of them, some even joking about forbidden romance. She lines closer to him, and he quickly ends the stream to stop the rumors. Even so, the results show it performed well. Despite the good results, he knows it's still not enough. His sister notices his growing popularity and teases him. She tells him to rest and even offers to give him a massage. He notices her revealing outfit and hesitates, but finally agrees, convincing himself it's just a massage. While she works on his shoulders, he realizes she's sincere, but he can't ignore how she's dressed. When she asks if it bothers him, he denies it. Inside, he's worried about losing control. She hints that there's a reason behind her choice of clothes, and he asks what it is. She debates whether she should try to make him fall for her, believing it's the only way their relationship could work. Finally, she tells him she'll explain when the time is right. He agrees to wait. She then says she has a plan that, once successful, will bring them closer together. The next morning at 6, he wakes up thinking her massage was so good that he slept perfectly. But when he checks his phone, he sees a message from Wei Nan telling him to give up, bow to her every time they meet, and be her obedient man. His peaceful mood instantly disappears. At school, still tired, he rests his head on his desk. Yahello then greets him. He notices her huge backpack and asks about it. She pulls out several valuable items she took from her home, saying she doesn't know their worth, but that her grandmother called them treasures. She even tries to give him a diamond ring. He tells her it's dangerous to steal from her family and refuses to take anything, insisting she return them to the butler. She looks disappointed, explaining she only wanted to help. He reassures her but says he doesn't want her in trouble. He then asks if she can find an expert to appraise an antique. She agrees. Later, at an antique shop, 2 women are discussing a vase when he arrives. One recognizes him as the legendary figure from 70,000 years ago. He explains he's a friend of Yahello and needs an appraisal. She suggests they move to a private room, guessing anything Yahello recommended must be valuable. Inside, they identify the plate as the royal plate of the ancient Jian, once sold for 200 million. He realizes Wei Nan wasn't lying about its worth. When they ask where he got it, He says a wealthy friend gave it to him because it was broken. He asks if it can be fixed, and they say yes, though it will lose some value. The assistant gives him her card and invites him to a meal to discuss things further. Thinking he may need her help to sell it later, he accepts. As they leave, he notices a guard watching them. The guard assumes they're a couple, and the assistant doesn't deny it, leaving him wondering about her intentions. Inside the hall, other women watch them, thinking she's lucky to be with such a handsome man. She beams with pride, while he reluctantly plays along and holds her hand. But he notices someone following them. The assistant apologizes, explaining that pretending to be a couple got them a discount. He brushes it off and asks how much the repaired plate might be worth. She estimates a few million. Suddenly, the follower kicks the door open and threatens the assistant, demanding to share the man. The assistant asks what she wants, but the intruder ignores her and offers him triple whatever the assistant is paying. The assistant slaps her, which enrages the gang leader. She orders her people to attack. One of them punches the assistant in the stomach, knocking her to her knees. The leader mocks her and says she's going to die. Zhang Hao thinks that they can't kill her because he still needs her help selling his antiques. As the leader is about to strike again, he grabs her arm. She's shocked at his strength, but tells him to stay out of women's business. He sighs, then quickly punches one of the gang members in the stomach, stunning everyone. He follows with a hit to another's nose and a kick to a third. But suddenly, everything fades to black for him. When Jiang Hao wakes up, he finds himself gagged and tied, surrounded by a group of rough-looking women. He realizes he has been caught in a trap. The gang leader, fierce and arrogant, brags about having him under her control. They discuss selling him to a woman named Mu Qing, who has plans for him. Zhang Hao tries to reason with them, saying he is only a student and doesn't understand why they are doing this. The leader explains that it is simply business. He has already been bought. She offers to help him escape if he agrees to be her man. Zhang Hao pretends to be interested, saying he likes strong women, and challenges her to untie him to see if she is truly powerful. Amused, she orders him to be released. Meanwhile, Wei's secretary tells her that everything is ready to move to the final stage of their plan. Wei signals to proceed. Back in the warehouse, Zhang Hao is freed and scans the room, noticing metal bars in the corner. He thinks that if he can reach them, he might have a chance. The gang leader mocks him before charging forward, but he dodges and runs for the bars. His quick moves impress some of the gang members. He grabs one of the bars and throws it at the leader. The leader dodges the attack, but he follows up with a powerful strike to her elbow, dislocating it and making her drop her weapon. Furious, she admits she underestimated him, but warns she cannot harm his face because he is to be sold. Zhang Hao warns her to let him go or face the consequences, but she dismisses his threat, confident in her numbers. At the same time, the antique shop assistant, bruised and on the floor, mutters that anyone carrying an antique worth 200 million must have powerful connections. The gang ignores this, assuming he is just a thief. Then they notice something shocking happening on Zhang Hao's side of the room. Zhang Hao is fighting back, taking down each attacker. He lands a quick punch, then strikes another in the chin, dropping them to the ground. The gang leader is surprised, but still ready to fight. Suddenly, Wei enters, furious. She demands to know who dared to tie up her man. Shocked, the leader apologizes, claiming she didn't know. Wei declares that because the leader stole from her, the entire gang now belongs to her. She also orders the leader to withdraw from a family inheritance dispute and leave it all to her own useless brother. The leader refuses, saying she would rather die than hand everything over. She pulls out a knife to attack Wei, but a bodyguard intercepts her, pinning her to the ground. The antique shopwoman, who turns out to be the leader's sister, watches in horror as the bodyguard twists the leader's neck, ending the fight. Wei walks over to Zhang Hao, impressed by how he handled himself. Zhang Hao, now aware of Wei's influence and power, accuses her of arranging the whole situation to take control of the Mo family. Wei denies doing it all just for him, clearly irritated. Wei says they should try to get along better. Zhang Hao, still cautious, warns her not to come closer while holding a stick. She easily breaks it with one punch and orders him to come with her. When he hesitates, she picks him up. She playfully slaps him as she carries him away. Soon, Zhang Hao is in a helicopter, looking down at the defeated antique shopwoman. Concerned, he asks if Wei will get into trouble for killing the gang leader's sister. Wei reassures him, explaining it was self-defense. She adds that anyone who dares harm him will face harsh consequences. As the helicopter flies, she asks if he thinks she is as bad as the gang leader who kidnapped him. Zhang Hao hesitates, unsure how to answer. Wei notices his discomfort and lines closer to him. She playfully bites his ear, sending a shiver down his spine. Then she teasingly asks if he has double standards, her voice dripping with mockery. Flustered, Zhang Hao tries to respond, but she turns his face and kisses him. In the next moment, they are in a room, and he asks what she is doing. Wei tells him not to move. As he tries to stop her, she moves even closer, her breath quickening. She is clearly blushing, her eyes locked on his. Then, without warning, she suddenly jumps on him, knocking him slightly off balance. She reminds him that she has saved him many times and asks when he will repay her. Zhang Hao says he already kissed her, wondering what more she wants. She licks him and replies that it is not enough, making it clear she is serious. She grabs his neck, saying she wants him. When he tells her to stop, she points out that his body is reacting differently than his words. She declares it is time for them to date officially, and that she will satisfy him both physically and mentally. Overwhelmed, Zhang Hao says nothing. Meanwhile, Yahello hears from the antique shop staff that Zhang Hao has been taken by Wei and decides to rescue him. Back with Zhang Hao and Wei, he tells her he might consider dating her if she does one thing. When she asks what, he says she must sit on his lap, put her hands on his shoulders, and not resist anything he does for 3 minutes. Wei asks why he wants this, and Zhang Hao challenges her confidence. Amused, she gives him a menacing look. But then she gently places her hands on his shoulders and sits on his lap. She says 3 minutes is nothing. Zhang Hao notices the feeling is very different from when Yahello sat on him. Wei's dominance is strong. Just then, the secretary bursts in, shocked by what she sees. Wei angrily asks why she entered without knocking, and Zhang Hao notes they never reached the full 3 minutes. The secretary kneels and apologizes, saying it is urgent. Zhang Hao feels a little sorry for Wei, realizing she has no private life and is constantly interrupted. Wei demands to know the matter, and the secretary explains that Yahello, the daughter of the Min family, is at the door asking to see Zhang Hao. Both Wei and Zhang Hao are surprised. Wei, now serious, says it is time to deal with Yahello once and for all. The secretary warns her not to act rashly, reminding her that Yahello is the granddaughter of a great general. Wei coldly suspends the secretary for speaking out of turn, saying she is no longer fit for the role for now. Wei adds that they are no longer soldiers, revealing that she and the secretary once served under a powerful figure, her grandmother. She then tells Zhang Hao to come with her to meet Yahello. Zhang Hao worries, sensing real trouble. Outside, Yahello threatens to call the police if they don't release him. When Zhang Hao appears, he asks how she found him. She explains that her aunt from the antique shop told her he had been kidnapped, so she came to rescue him. Zhang Hao is touched by her concern. Wei interrupts, blaming Yahello for causing the kidnapping in the first place. She tells Yahello to stay away from him, saying if he wants to learn boxing or anything else, it will be with her. Zhang Hao tells Yahello to ignore Wei and asks Wei to stop glaring at her so fiercely. Yahello removes her coat and challenges Wei to a fight, with the winner getting Zhang Hao. Wei agrees, eager to finish what they started before. Tension rises, but Zhang Hao, tired of the drama, grabs his phone and walks away, calling them both idiots. Yahello runs to catch up, but Wei insists on taking Zhang Hao home. He refuses, saying arriving in her luxury car will raise questions. He reminds her to focus on running her company, because he still needs to make a lot of money for a certain crazy person. Yahello takes the chance to stick her tongue out at Wei. Enraged, Wei orders her guards to stop a taxi. She then tells the driver she is buying it, claiming it as hers. She then turns to them, saying the little car is ready and she will still take them home. Back at Zhang Ho's house, his sister was waiting for him, as caring as ever. She noticed he seemed distracted and asked why he was home earlier than usual. He told her nothing had happened, claiming he was just thinking about his streaming plans. But in reality, he was getting threatening messages from Wei on his phone and panicking over how to earn enough money. He remembered how, after leaving the taxi, Wei told him to forget about the money and just repair the plate for her. When he asked if she didn't want the 100 million, she stunned him. She said she wanted to marry him, even if it meant ruining her family. The word marriage caught him completely off guard. Meanwhile, Yahello, who had overheard this from the back of the car, begged Wei to let her out, but Wei insisted on taking her home. In the end, the two left together. Later, Zhang Hao received another message from Wei, telling him not to worry about making money since she would support him. He replied that he would pay her back eventually, thanked her for bringing him home, and ended the conversation. Yuehua then messaged him, encouraging him not to be afraid of Wei and even offering to fight her if needed. Feeling bad for Yuehua, Zhang Hao advised her to avoid conflict and keep her distance from Wei. Hopping time would make her forget. At home, he reflected on the exhausting day, being kidnapped, fighting, and being dragged back home. His sister placed a hand on his shoulder and asked if he was going to stream that night, offering him a massage. She often did this, and while he didn't mind, he appreciated her kindness. As she leaned back, she reminded him that he was still young and didn't need to stress about money so much. He enjoyed the massage, saying her skills were so good he didn't want to move. Just then, her mother called her into the other room. Once there, her mother had found some magazines with girls kissing and was shocked. Embarrassed, she claimed they belonged to a friend who wanted to prank her. Her mother pressed her about it. During the exchange, a pair of panties fell from the book she was holding. Her mother, furious and confused, scolded her and told her to get a boyfriend or face punishment. Alone in her room afterward, she grinned to herself, pleased that her plan to create suspicion in her mother's mind about her relationship with Zhang Hao was working perfectly. No one could guess her true plans. The next day, Zhang Hao arrived at school already tired. As soon as he stepped in, several girls surrounded him, calling him the god of masculinity and trying to talk to him. His friend Long Long greeted him, saying he was worried since Zhang Hao had missed school the previous day. Zhang Hao explained that he had been too tired. While eating, he thought about how staying home with his sister had actually been quite enjoyable. Noticing his distracted look, Long Long asked what he was thinking about, but Zhang Hao brushed it off. Long Long then mentioned he had watched Zhang Hao's gaming streams and was impressed by how he dominated the female players, saying it was even more entertaining than his singing. Zhang Hao asked if he planned to keep watching, and Long Long replied that it was different when it was him playing. He also revealed that he had pulled Yuehua into watching the streams. She showed up with dark circles under her eyes, admitting she had stayed up all night watching them. Zhang Hao was shocked, telling her she couldn't spend 10 hours watching 10 hours worth of content without rest. She said she was simply happy to see him play. After school, Long Long mentioned they had a swimming class on Friday and needed swimsuits. The very thought of the school's swimsuit designs left Zhang Hao questioning whoever had made such choices. The scene shifted to Zhang Hao's sister on a date. She was glued to her phone, clearly uninterested, while the man across from her spoke about being a perfect husband who would stay home with the kids. She barely listened, only thinking about how boring it was and checking her last messages with Zhang Hao. When the man asked why she wasn't paying attention, she bluntly questioned him. She wanted to know what advantages being with him would bring. He claimed his looks were enough, but she laughed, thinking instead about how attractive Zhang Hao was. Back home, Zhang Hao sat on her lap as she asked why he was so desperate to make money. He told her even a man needed to be able to support himself and not rely on others. She compared him favorably to her date, who seemed eager to quit working entirely. Later, during a shopping trip, their classmate remarked that Long Long's swimsuit choices were too modest. She suggested showing more skin, saying it would look livelier and more stylish. Her tone was playful, but it left Long Long blushing in embarrassment. Zhang Hao was horrified, especially with Yuehua there. Long Long, embarrassed, told her to stop making such comments. The girl then offered to help Zhang Hao pick a swimsuit, saying she had two perfect options for him. Already wary of her taste, he decided to choose his own. Disappointed, she thought at least she could have seen him in something more revealing. Turning to Yuehua, she offered to help her pick a swimsuit instead. Yuehua agreed, saying it was nice to be learning from her. They shared a hug, and Yuehua admitted she liked Zhang Hao. Her friend confessed she liked him too, leaving both of them blushing awkwardly. Meanwhile, Zhang Hao realized he might have left his friend alone with these two, possibly causing trouble. Before he could return, his friend emerged in a swimsuit, thankfully covered by a large censorship bubble. Zhang Hao was stunned, asking if that outfit was even allowed in class. She insisted it was fine since everyone wore similar things. Then she mentioned she had chosen Yuehua's swimsuit too. Curious, he asked where Yuehua was. His friend pointed toward the fitting area, and soon Yuehua stepped out, saying she felt odd wearing stockings for swimming. The friend explained they were designed for warmth and were attractive to men. Then with great excitement, she introduced the latest trend and presented Yuehua in a much more revealing outfit, though the scene was again heavily censored. Yuehua felt uncomfortable, asking if it showed too much. But Zhang Hao quickly pulled her aside, urging her not to listen to their friend's crazy suggestions. A flashback showed the blonde friend privately telling Yahello she planned to confess to Zhang Hao, even if he didn't like her, because she didn't want to graduate with regrets. This revelation had left Yahello unsettled. The chapter opened with the blonde friend confessing to Zhang Hao. She admitted she didn't think she was pretty but asked for a chance, saying she had loved him for a long time. Zhang Hao, taken aback, refused without hesitation, saying he simply didn't like her. She commented on how quick and blunt his rejection was, asking if they could at least remain friends. Back at school, Zhang Hao thought about how many hearts he'd been breaking lately and almost felt like a criminal. Long Long came to find him, explaining that a girl who had been sending him letters for years wanted to meet under the tree. Zhang Hao wondered why so many people were confessing lately. Long Long admitted he was torn. She was beautiful and sincere, but he didn't want to fall in love too early. Frustrated, Zhang Hao told him to do whatever he wanted. When they met the girl, she suddenly kissed Long Long. Shocked, he slapped her and wiped his mouth in disgust. Concerned, Zhang Hao and Yahello rushed over, asking what had happened. Long Long clung to Zhang Hao's arm, crying that it had been his first kiss. Zhang Hao scolded him for hitting her, nodding she wasn't unattractive. The girl apologized tearfully, kneeling to beg for forgiveness. Later, Zhang Hao and Long Long shared drinks, with Zhang Hao telling him to stop before he got too drunk. Long Long insisted he wasn't, then began ranting about losing his first kiss. Yahello noticed Zhang Hao's face turning red and suspected he was also tipsy. Realizing his sister would be furious if he came home like this, and that they couldn't send Long Long home drunk either, Yahello suggested they stay at her place for the night. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories. Later that night, they arrived at her house. The butler was surprised and asked what was happening. She told him to prepare food and arrange a room for the two boys. The butler was shocked, thinking he had underestimated her since she returned late at night with two men. The scene shifted to Zhang Hao in a room, explaining the situation to his sister. He said that someone stole a kiss from Long Long, who then drank too much and lost control, which was why they had to take care of him. His sister grew annoyed, wanting to know which girl had done such a thing, and warned him to stay away from her. Zhang Hao insisted that he did not know the girl and said they would return home the next day. After ending the call, his sister worried about not seeing him for an entire day. Just then, Yahello arrived at the door asking to come in. Zhang Hao let her inside, and she brought snacks. Zhang Hao asked if this was her secret room, but she questioned why he had left her in his own. She claimed that everything in the room belonged to her, including him. She explained that she wanted to hide him away, so only she could speak with him every day and be by his side. Then she asked him to be her boyfriend. Zhang Hao was surprised. He admitted that he did like her as a girl, but confessed he could not control his heart because he still liked someone else. He called himself heartless and trash. Yahello told him he was not trash, but he warned her that men like him were bad because they often liked people they should not. Even so, he could not deny his bond with her. She clung to him sadly, wondering why he could not just return her feelings. He silently apologized, feeling guilty. The next morning, the protagonist woke up beside her. They had cuddled through the night, but he was startled to see his clothes had changed. He immediately asked if she had done it, but she explained that they had only slept, and it was the butler who had changed him. Relieved, he quickly got up as Yahello urged him to get ready for school. At school, Long Long looked exhausted, suffering from a hangover. He complained that they should never drink again because a few cans had led them to spend the whole night at a girl's house. He insisted they should avoid that happening again. Yahello noticed that the protagonist seemed unconcerned about the situation. Suddenly, the sound of heels echoed behind them, and a new girl appeared. It was his sister, who now seemed the most dangerous to anyone trying to get close to him. She looked at the girl standing beside him and wondered who this newcomer was. She called out Zhang Hao's name. He turned to see that it was his sister, Chin Chin. He asked why she had come, and she said she was worried and nearly died from the concern. Zhang Hao told her not to worry because he was not a child anymore. Long Long abruptly said he was going back to class, looking depressed. Zhang Hao noticed his strange mood. Chin Chin then asked about the student standing next to him. Zhang Hao introduced Yahello, and his sister politely greeted her. She added that she had never heard Zhang Hao mention her before despite the time they seemed to spend together. Thrilled, Yahello admitted they spent a lot of time with each other. Chin Chin immediately sensed that Yahello was in love with him. Chin Chin stepped closer, put her hand on her brother's neck, pulled him near, and declared that he would be in her room that night. Her intense tone left Yahello devastated, unable to understand what was happening. Chin Chin whispered sweetly into his ear that they should have a private talk. Zhang Hao smiled a little, intrigued, but wondered why she whispered so quietly. She replied that it was something only the two of them should know. He and Yahello went to class. Chin Chin stayed behind, thinking that she could not wait much longer and would soon have to act. In the classroom, both the protagonist and Yahello looked worn out. Someone asked why, since they had seemed fine earlier. Out of nowhere, Long Long mentioned that seeing Zhang Hao's sister reminded him of being forced into a kiss the day before. Zhang Hao was confused, wondering what that meant and if Long Long liked his sister. He then turned to Yahello and asked why she looked down. She confessed she was dying of jealousy. Even though she knew Chin Chin was his sister, seeing their closeness made her uncomfortable. She envied the bond they shared daily. Later, when he returned home, Zhang Hao thought about doing another live stream, since he needed to earn money to repay Wei's vase after refusing her proposal to become her husband. The debt was 100,000. When he entered the house, Zhang Hao was stunned. He saw Chin Chin's mother hitting her with a belt. The protagonist was alarmed, seeing Chin Chin's bruised body. He rushed forward, asking why her mother was doing this. The mother told him to stay out of it, insisting she would beat her to death. Horrified, he asked why. Later, Chin Chin lay on the bed in pain, while the protagonist carefully cleaned her wounds. He thought about how cruel her mother was. When he asked what had caused it, he recalled the mother's words during the beating. It was because Chin Chin did not like men. He could not believe it, since Chin Chin had even kissed him first. But then she confessed. She said she had disliked boys since childhood and had tried to force herself, but it never worked. That was why she pushed herself on him. Zhang Hao felt crushed, realizing she truly did not like him. She apologized and admitted she could not do it, but then said she wanted to change and be able to like boys. He reassured her, thanked her for letting him treat her wounds, and promised to keep her secret. Back in his room, he searched online for ways to change sexual orientation. He even searched for whether someone could become straight. The most popular answer suggested using temptation to force attraction. Zhang Hao thought it seemed wrong, but decided to ask his sister anyway. When he showed her the idea, she seemed shaken. She said maybe it could work, but only if someone close was willing to make such a sacrifice. She complained about her ruined future, saying she could no longer face her workplace or society and would rather stay home forever. Zhang Hao felt lost, realizing how tragic the situation was. Still, he decided he was the only one who could help her. He offered to support her step by step, reminding her they had already kissed and cuddled together. She remained cold, saying she felt nothing. She insisted she felt nothing, not even for a handsome boy like him. Zhang Hao thought her situation was worse than he had imagined, but she was secretly struggling inside, the temptation already overwhelming her. He told her to come to his room later. He planned to try different methods and even considered wearing certain outfits. After some silly thoughts, he settled on something simple, black and white gloves. He had read that girls found it attractive, like the male version of stockings. He waited in bed until he drifted to sleep. But then Chin Chin slipped quietly into his room. He asked what she was doing since their parents were asleep. He told her to lie beside him as usual and just cuddle. He admired her beauty in the moonlight, but she stayed calm, almost like a monk. He asked if she felt uncomfortable. She admitted it was a little strange, but said she liked the warmth. She asked him to hold her tighter and said she would get used to it little by little. She also told him not to force himself. He reassured her, thinking about how kind she was to consider his feelings even in such a difficult situation. They touched noses, and it felt almost like a kiss. She thought things were going better than expected. Zhang Hao struggled with temptation, but tried to hold back for the sake of the family. Yet eventually, he gave in and asked if she wanted to touch his arm with the glove. She drooled slightly, clearly enjoying it, and admitted it was good. Chin Chin thought this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance and continued touching his arm, feeling as though her whole life had been fulfilled. Zhang Hao told her she did not need to force herself and praised her courage. She tried to hide her excitement, saying it still felt strange to touch a man's hand. He moved behind her, gently touched her neck, and suggested trying a kiss. Their last one had been forced, so he wanted to see how it felt now. She was stunned, touched by his willingness to sacrifice. He admitted he also wanted it and told her she was beautiful. She felt like her mind was breaking apart. She punched the ceiling in shock, then tried to cover up by pretending she found it strange and needed time to prepare. Zhang Hao began to doubt whether she truly disliked it. Then she decided to take the lead. She kissed him again, pushing him onto the bed, and admitted she dreamed of being with him. She said if things kept going this way, she would have to make it real, even if her plan was discovered. In the middle of it all, she accidentally called him another name, Zioyan. The protagonist froze, shocked, and asked who Zioyan was. Before the protagonist could finish his question, his sister kissed him again. She held his hand and pulled him closer. He was left breathless, confused by her sudden intensity as she nearly drooled with desire. Yet she admitted she still felt uncomfortable. He asked about the name she had spoken earlier and realized it belonged to a girl. When he asked if she had called him a girl, she explained that using a girl's name made it easier for her to handle the situation without feeling worse. He asked if this girl, Zioyan, was the one she liked the most, and she confirmed it. The protagonist thought her condition must be very serious if she was clinging to that name even in such a moment. She then excused herself, saying she needed to go to bed because she had to study and wake up early. Still suspicious, he asked if she was being honest. She promised that a sister would never lie, and if she ever did, she would serve him as a slave. She then hummed a song to help him sleep. The next day, she secretly stared at him and thought about how sorry she was. She did not want to lie to him, nor did she want him to hate her. She believed that because of his past pain, this was the only way to reach the future she wanted. She promised to be more careful and to make up for the harm later, silently asking him to forgive his little sister. That morning, the protagonist woke up reflecting that the previous night had been overwhelming. At the pool during swimming class, the girls stared at him eagerly. Long Long appeared behind him, complaining that he wanted to go home because the swimsuit was too revealing. The protagonist told him it was the same as always and that he should stop being silly and act like a man. Meanwhile, the girls complimented Long Long, saying he looked perfect. The protagonist, annoyed, muttered that now he understood why girls disliked boys who acted that way. Then he suddenly told Long Long he no longer wanted to stay in class. Long Long suggested they fake stomach aches and leave. The protagonist agreed, deciding instead to teach Yahello to swim since it was better than staying with the noisy girls. Yahello prepared to jump into the water and asked if swimming was simply about jumping in and paddling hard. He told her no and said he would teach her. They warmed up together, but he found himself staring at her strangely, fixating on her armpit. Then he asked why she was not wearing the new swimsuit she had bought earlier. She teased him, asking if he wanted to see it, and he admitted that he did. The protagonist knew he was acting recklessly, especially after the chaos with his sister the previous night. Yahello mentioned that after he and Long Long left, she went back to buy a few more swimsuits, and if he wanted to see them, he could come to her house since she did not want anyone else to look. The protagonist said he had promised to teach her swimming, so he would have to go to her house eventually, but for now, they would practice at school. He told her to take a deep breath and be ready, then pushed her into the pool. As expected, she panicked and nearly drowned again. She surfaced in shock, trembling. He told her she needed to practice breathing slowly and carefully. But when he touched her, he realized she was shaking all over, desperate, and asked for a hug because she was terrified. The protagonist pitied her, but told her it was not a good idea since everyone was watching. She then revealed a childhood trauma. Once she had wandered off without her parents noticing, and when they found her, she had nearly drowned. Moved by her story, the protagonist finally gave her a hug. She clung tightly, while people around them whispered. He told the teacher that Yahello had cramps and took her away. Later in private, he asked if she was better. She said she hated the pool and doubted she could ever get used to it. She apologized for disappointing him despite his efforts to help. He reassured her, telling her not to worry and that she would improve with time. To comfort her, he offered to give her a massage. He began with her calf, then her shoulders, his hands firm yet soothing. Yahello sighed at how relaxing it felt, but hinted that she wanted him to massage other areas too. When he asked where, she pointed toward her upper body. He immediately grew tense, realizing what she meant. But he quickly told her to stop joking around, trying to hide his discomfort. The protagonist insisted he was serious and would not do anything improper. Yahello grew angry, kicking his hand away, and said she had wanted a proper massage, not teasing. He scolded her, telling her to stop talking like that in public, then demanded her leg again so he could finish. She asked why she could not talk about such things openly. He explained that such talk was perverse and should only exist between couples in private. Did she really want the whole class to see her as a pervert? Yahello looked heartbroken, then burst into tears, saying she did not care if everyone thought she was one. The protagonist was stunned, thinking this was not the innocent Yahello he knew. He told her she was only saying such things because she did not understand how dangerous real perverts were. She replied that she did not care anymore, especially since he had already massaged her. She even said she no longer cared about learning to swim. He then made a deal with her. If she learned to swim properly, he would do anything she asked, within reason. Her mood lifted instantly, and she eagerly agreed. Elsewhere, Wei sat in her office, distracted. She had not finished her work because she kept looking at photos of the protagonist. Exhausted, she muttered that the boy was ruining her focus. She picked up her phone, tempted to look one more time, and gazed at a picture she had taken during the helicopter ride, blushing. At that moment, the elevator opened, and a man entered with Wei's mother. Her mother teased her, asking why she had chosen Zhang Hao when so many other men chased after her. Wei snapped back that it was nothing and tried to return to work. Her mother smirked, warning her not to sleep at her desk. Wei thought bitterly that her mother had discovered her weakness, love. The scene shifted to the protagonist, who noticed Wei's former secretary nearby. He approached and introduced himself, asking for a chat. She was caught off guard. He went straight to the point, mentioning how during their last conflict, it seemed she was connected to Yuehua's grandmother. The secretary thought he was interested in Wei, but he quickly clarified he was not. He only wanted to know why the secretary seemed so obsessed with him, since she supposedly hated men. The secretary explained that she did not hate men in general, only weak ones. She said her father had been weak, always obeying her mother, while her mother drank and saw other men. In the end, her father died sick and alone in a hospital, abandoned. Since then, she despised weakness. The protagonist thought maybe pretending to be weak was the key to making Wei hate him. But the secretary had other ideas. She suggested he join Wei's side, because Wei never mistreated her people. Even after leaving the army, she rehired everyone and paid them generously. The secretary argued that his life would improve under her. The protagonist disagreed, saying Wei wanted too much control, and he was not the kind of person who could tolerate that. At that moment, someone entered. It was Wei's mother. She told the protagonist she had been searching for him. The secretary tried to intervene, saying Wei had called Zhang Hao and that she was only there to take him back. The woman beckoned her closer. Then, without warning, she suddenly struck her with an elbow to the chin. The protagonist was stunned. The woman casually apologized, saying she had grown rusty with her strikes. The woman remarked that Zhang Hao was unusually calm, since most students would have been frightened by now. He explained that ever since he had become involved with Wei, strange situations like this had become common, so he was used to it. He quickly realized she was Wei's mother and probably the gang leader. She asked why he seemed not to like her daughter, wondering if he wanted to join their family as a son-in-law. He tried to deflect, saying he was just an ordinary student, nothing special, and his family was waiting for him. The mother then said she wanted to make a deal. He was surprised, pointing out that he was only a high school student. She insisted only he could do it, because her daughter was obsessed with him. If he asked her for something, she would obey. Her plan was simple. He had to invite Wei on a trip to a certain location, where her people would capture her. In exchange, she promised him enough money to move abroad and live easily. Zhang Hao was horrified, asking why she wanted to take down her own daughter. She explained that Wei had stolen her position as family head, and there was no bond between them anymore. Zhang Hao argued that Wei had made the family more powerful and respected, so why oppose her? The mother sneered, saying she only cared about money and freedom. She called her daughter cold-hearted and claimed she had hated her ever since her father died. The protagonist, knowing the truth about the father's lonely death, realized the mother was lying. He tried to suggest reconciliation, but she refused, saying even a dog was better than Wei. She accused him of siding with her daughter, pointing out that her attack on the secretary was already a declaration of war. She told him to just bring Wei to the location, and she would handle the rest. When he asked what would happen if he refused, she coldly replied that then his family and he would become her hostages. The protagonist responded with a firm expression. He said it was one thing to threaten him, but involving his family crossed the line. He told her she had made a mistake by not bringing bodyguards. Amused, she asked if he really thought he could defeat her in a fight. He challenged her to try. Meanwhile, a car stopped outside. Wei ordered her driver to move aside. The secretary quickly shouted to her, explaining that her mother had taken Zhang Hao some time ago, and she feared something bad might have happened. Wei asked where they were and sent guards to release the secretary before moving to confront them. As Wei approached, she overheard the conversation inside. Her mother was saying that everyone who got close to her daughter usually had some hidden agenda, but she noticed that Wei seemed to like Zhang Hao, so she wanted to see what he was like. The protagonist asked if that was why she went through so much trouble. The mother admitted that Wei would probably be furious if she found out, since she always demanded her mother stay out of her relationships. Still, this was the first time she had shown feelings for someone, so she was curious. The mother went on to say she had another request. Wei's birthday was coming, and she wanted to give her a present, but she knew Wei would refuse if it came directly from her. She asked Zhang Hao to deliver it. Wei, listening from outside, felt conflicted. The mother then explained her reasoning further. The Wei family was powerful, but problems arose because her father could not have children. To secure heirs, she was pressured to be with many men, something she never wanted but could not avoid. Over time, she became distant, and before long, Wei had already grown up without her. Now she hoped Zhang Hao could help her fix things. The protagonist told her he could not help. If she wanted forgiveness, she needed to earn it herself. No matter what she did, she could not make up for lost years. When he stepped out, he saw Wei waiting. He asked why she was there. She ignored the question and asked if he had heard everything. Then she apologized, saying she had told her mother not to interfere, but she had come anyway. Zhang Hao asked if she planned to reconnect with her. Wei replied that things would remain the same, and she would not change her stance. She asked him what he would do if his own mother, who had abandoned him for years, suddenly reappeared wanting to talk. The protagonist thought about his family, his sister and his father, and admitted that he would prefer if his mother never returned, because his family was fine as it was. Wei asked about his relationship with his half-sister. He said it was very good and asked why she was bringing it up. Wei revealed that she was considering moving his family somewhere safer, so she could protect them more easily. The protagonist refused, asking why she kept pushing this. Since when was he her man? She confidently declared that sooner or later he would be. He denied it. Suddenly, she stopped the car. He asked what she was planning, and she explained that unlike her parents, who had surrendered under family pressure, she would not give up on him. She would not allow him to be with anyone else, and would pursue him until he accepted her completely. The protagonist warned that she was going too far, but then she leaned close, her lips inches from his. He covered her mouth, scolding her lightly, telling her not to push things while they were on the road. She smiled and asked if he wanted to come to her place. He told her just to drive him home. At that moment, his sister called, scolding him for being out so late and asking why he was not home yet. He lied, saying he was at Long Long's place and lost track of time. Wei listened to the lie with interest. After hanging up, he admitted he only lied because of her. Wei asked if his sister cared about him that much. He confirmed that she did, because they were family. Wei repeated the word family, but already her mind was racing with doubts. When he arrived home, his sister confronted him immediately. He tried to explain that Long Long had kept him, but she interrupted, accusing him of lying. He insisted he was not lying, but she revealed that she had called Long Long, who told her he had left much earlier. Shocked, he realized she had his friend's number. She explained that she had always been alone, with a single mother working all day, and only learned the meaning of family warmth through him. She had considered him her dearest brother, but now she felt foolish, thinking maybe she was nothing more than a stranger to him. Heartbroken, she shed a tear and told him that if he did not want her involved in his life, she would stop bothering him. She turned to leave, but he grabbed her arm, begging her to listen. He apologized, saying he had just gone out to eat with a friend and did not want her to worry. He assured her it was nothing more than that, but she pulled her arm away. She said all he needed to understand was that she truly cared for him. Then she walked off, leaving him devastated. The protagonist collapsed in guilt, calling himself a terrible person for disappointing her after everything she had done for him. In her own room, she sat in shock, thinking about how she had dared to slap his hand away earlier. She worried he might be angry, but then told herself she needed confidence and could not let him walk all over her. Still, she wondered if she had gone too far and whether she should apologize. Then another thought struck her. If he lied, was it because of a girl? Which girl? That night, she secretly sniffed his clothes from the laundry, trying to detect perfume. She remembered smelling the same scent before. Could it be Yahello's? The thought stayed with her. The next day, as they traveled together, she offered him the chance to sleep in the car. He, however, only thought about finding a moment to explain. They were heading to his father's cousin's house, and he wondered what it would be like, remembering that his cousin had always been handsome and cool. Suddenly, his father pointed at someone outside and asked who the girl was. The protagonist looked and saw Yahello, dressed cutely, waiting for him. His father asked who the bold girl was. The protagonist answered that she was just a classmate. He went to greet her, asking why she was there. She explained that she wanted to invite him to an art exhibition. Meanwhile, his parents exchanged glances, impressed by her courage. They thought she might be a potential girlfriend. His sister, however, glared furious. The protagonist introduced Yahello to his mother and father. Yahello politely apologized for disturbing them and introduced herself. She seemed delighted, convinced things were going well. Then his sister stepped forward and bluntly asked if Yahello was trying to date Zhang Hao. Without hesitation, Yahello admitted she was, saying she liked him a lot. This shocked everyone. His sister began to say something, but their father interrupted, warning his son not to fall in love so young. Zhang Hao tried to explain that Yahello was only a friend, but his father turned to Yahello, saying his son was too young for love and asking her not to come around anymore. Zhang Hao quickly told Yahello they would talk later and asked her to leave for now. She pretended to be naive, asking if that meant she could not fall in love with him. His mother stepped in, saying she could love someone, just not Zhang Hao. The protagonist was unsure how to handle it. His sister then approached Yahello closely, making their mother nervous, thinking she might attack. But in truth, the sister was trying to smell her perfume, to check if it matched the scent from the clothes. To cover it up, she pressed a hand over Yahello's mouth and whispered playfully that she could love her instead. Alarmed, their mother pulled the sister away. The protagonist asked Yahello to leave, promising they would speak later. She apologized and left. His sister, however, thought to herself, if Yahello's perfume was not the same, then who was the other woman always near Zhang Hao? The scene shifted to his father, welcoming his cousin. Once a carefree flirt, the cousin now appeared in short shorts, looking unexpectedly delicate. The protagonist, despite everything he had seen in life, still felt unprepared for it. Later in the house, the conversation turned to Yahello's visit. They acknowledged that someone like Zhang Hao would naturally be pursued by many. The cousin then complimented his sister's beauty, and even his mother agreed, calling Chin Chin beautiful. Feeling uncomfortable, the protagonist tried to escape by offering to help his father in the kitchen, but his cousin stopped him. He said Zhang Hao was so good-looking that he should treat himself like a flower and let others care for him. He even advised him to find a wealthy woman and live an easy life. Zhang Hao refused, insisting he enjoyed helping his father. But the cousin pushed, saying women nowadays cooked only to please men, so he did not need to bother. Finally, to change the subject, Zhang Hao suggested they go to his room. In his room, the cousin commented on how plain it was, asking if it belonged to his sister instead. Zhang Hao explained that he preferred a simple life, but the cousin told him he needed to learn about cosmetics and beauty. The cousin asked if he had a girlfriend. Zhang Hao said he did not. The cousin proudly pointed to his own outfit, saying his girlfriend had bought everything for him. Zhang Hao remained unimpressed, thinking his cousin was simply a sellout. The cousin then asked if his sister had a boyfriend. Zhang Hao replied no, but many admired her, and she had even been stalked once. The cousin commented that she was not only smart, but also very attractive. Zhang Hao was shocked, remembering the cousin had just mentioned having a girlfriend. At that moment, his sister entered to announce lunch was ready. The cousin winked at her, trying to be charming, and promised to come down soon. As they left the room, his sister quietly apologized for her behavior earlier and said she wanted to talk privately later to properly apologize. Zhang Hao agreed, saying he also wanted to speak with her. They decided to meet after lunch. During the meal, she urged him to eat quickly, showing her eagerness to speak. But before they could talk, his phone rang. It was the woman from the antique shop, calling to tell him the plate he had sent for repair was ready. He asked about the condition and the cost, and she told him his girlfriend had already paid for it. Confused about who could have paid for the repaired plate, the protagonist excused himself, saying he had urgent business. His sister tried to hide her frustration, reminding herself to stay calm. She told him not to be late, or she would worry. Relieved she was not too upset, he promised to return soon and left. After he was gone, the cousin remarked on how attractive the protagonist was and suggested he might be going on a date. This irritated the sister, who stood with a dangerous look, deciding she needed to keep a closer watch on him. At the antique shop, the protagonist received the repaired plate, along with a note that revealed Wei Nan had paid for it. He was not pleased. Later at Fang Hong, Wei Nan looked stunning as he entered her office. She scolded him for not knocking, then stopped him from leaving, saying once she finished her work, they would have dinner together. The protagonist tried to refuse, instead offering her the repaired relic and asking how much she would deduct from his debt for it. He suggested that if the value was small, he could sell it elsewhere and bring her the money. Wei Nan seemed uninterested in its value and cared more about where they would eat. Frustrated, he suggested taking the relic to an auction to see what it could fetch. Instead, she suddenly grabbed the plate and smashed it. The protagonist was stunned. It had been worth millions and had caused so much trouble, even death, just to repair. He rushed to pick it from the trash, but she told him not to touch it because it was broken and worthless. At that moment, she pulled him by the wrist, and shockingly, his wrist snapped. Both were stunned by what had just happened. The protagonist sat in disbelief, wondering why his body seemed so fragile. Wei examined his hand and said it was only a strained tendon and would heal soon, though she advised him to see a doctor. Curious, he asked if she had really fought in combat, since she was so strong. She confirmed she had, and that she nearly died once. She offered to tell him her story if he stayed the night. He declined, saying he was only curious. As he tried to leave, she insisted he stay for dinner. He called her too persistent, but she mentioned she had read all the novels he wrote, saying they felt too real. She wanted to discuss them over dinner. Surprised that his novels had impacted her, he considered staying, especially since he had barely eaten earlier. Wei quickly ordered dinner for two and teased him, asking if that meant he was staying the night. Embarrassed, he clarified that it was only for dinner. She then accused him of staring at her legs, saying he was dishonest with his eyes. He awkwardly explained he was only admiring her expensive clothes, since he came from a poor background. But she suddenly pinned him to the couch, insisting he belonged to her. He laughed it off, saying she read too many novels, and lightly smacked her. She grew annoyed, accusing him of teasing without following through. When he tried to push her off, she would not budge, and he realized the difference in their size and strength. She warned him not to hurt himself again and stood up. Irritated, he threw her back onto the couch, telling her to stop bothering him, saying they were not a match. She suddenly shifted the subject, saying she had been studying the red moon and would explain it to him. Back at his home, the cousin wondered why the protagonist's sister disliked him. Just then, Yahello arrived, and the cousin immediately thought about trying his luck with her. She greeted him politely, and he stepped aside. The parents appeared, surprised to see her. She handed out gifts, one for each of them, one for Zhang Hao, one for the father, one for the mother, and one for the sister. The father told her she should stop visiting Zhang Hao, saying he was too young to fall in love. The mother agreed, asking her to leave. The cousin was shocked to realize she might actually be a suitor. Yahello explained that she did not want to fall in love with Zhang Hao. She only wanted to spend her life as his close friend. The parents looked doubtful. She pleaded with them, insisting she just wanted to stay by his side. She handed over a briefcase as well. The mother, determined to act as a strict parent, told Yahello not to see him anymore. But Yahello firmly declared that Zhang Hao was special to her, and she would remain his friend no matter what. Meanwhile, with Wei, she described how she had once been gravely wounded during a mission. She said that as she was about to die, she saw the red moon and somehow survived. The protagonist was confused, nodding her account was very different from his. He suggested maybe it was a hallucination from blood loss, but she insisted it was real. Her injuries had been beyond medical treatment, and since then, she had been studying the red moon. She also mentioned that, during the second red moon, she noticed Zhang Hao acting differently from everyone else. Wei said she found his novels similar to dreams she had, which made her believe he was connected to the red moon. As she spoke, she began unbuttoning her clothes, pointing to her abdomen. She explained that the wound had destroyed her internal organs, yet she had no scar. She asked why so many had died that day, but she survived. She then asked if the world described in his novel was real. Realizing he needed to cooperate, the protagonist agreed to explain but set conditions. He must be able to contact his family freely, and she could not imprison him for study. Annoyed, she asked if he thought she would really lock him up. He replied that capitalists were cold and untrustworthy. With a sigh, he admitted he would have to endure her for now, and revealed his truth. He was not from this world. When the red moon appeared, he had awakened in this body. Meanwhile, outside, Yahello stood in the sun, waiting for Zhang Hao's parents to accept her gift. The father finally relented, saying that since she had no bad intentions, he would allow their friendship. She smiled, saying Zhang Hao was her best friend and she would never hurt him. Seeing her sincerity, he accepted the gift but told her to return to her family. Later, the family examined the gifts, beautiful jewelry. They assumed it must be fake, since no one would give such expensive things. They tried on the pieces, surprised at their realism. When the sister entered and asked who had given them the jewelry, the mother explained. She said it came from Zhang Hao's friend. They all insisted it was probably fake, but the sister examined a sapphire closely and declared it genuine, likely worth tens of millions. Everyone was stunned, especially the cousin, who had his own schemes. Back in the office, the protagonist finished explaining everything to Wei about the Red Moon and how he ended up in this world. Wei fell silent, thinking about the possibility of parallel worlds. She asked if, in his world, men normally pursued women and went shirtless at the beach. This made the protagonist wonder if going shirtless here would be strange. He confirmed that in his world, men did those things freely. She asked if he could prove it by taking off his shirt. Reluctantly, he began to undress, determined to show her what men from his world were like. But as he did, he noticed her gaze, intense, almost overwhelming. He hesitated, realizing his thoughts were being shaped by this world. Wei, trembling and flustered, urged him to continue. He finally pulled off his shirt, revealing his chest. She immediately shook, overwhelmed, and asked him to put it back on, admitting she could not control herself. The protagonist felt frustrated that something so normal in his world became such an ordeal here. Wei wiped her face and told him they should work together from now on, but he firmly told her not to contact him unless absolutely necessary. If there were any future meals, he would be the one to invite her. As he left, Wei, still shaken, pleaded with him to stay, offering him anything he wanted. He refused, saying not to even suggest it. Back at home, his sister sat staring at the sapphire. She thought about how sapphires symbolized loyalty and perseverance. She wondered if Wei truly had the wealth to gift something so valuable. Her eyes then shifted to the cousin, and she thought to herself that if it was true, she would have to use him. Back at home, Zhang Hao's father asked angrily why he had taken so long. The family then spoke about the jewelry Yahello had left for him. Qin commented that Yahello seemed wealthy and probably came from a rich family. Their father, however, made it clear that his son should not be with a girl just because of her money. Meanwhile, the cousin was fuming. He wished those gifts had been meant for him and began plotting to win Yahello over, imagining her as his ticket to wealth. He believed that although Zhang Hao was good-looking, he was not especially charming, so he might have a chance. Later, Zhang Hao tried to return the gifts, saying they were too expensive. At that moment, the cousin appeared again, pretending it was a coincidence. In his mind, he thought all he needed was a little physical contact with Yahello. But when he approached, Yahello instinctively kicked him in the chest, leaving him coughing. She apologized, saying it was a reflex, and asked if he was okay. Zhang Hao reminded him to think of others first, while the cousin realized his plan had completely failed. Yahello then asked if Zhang Hao disliked the gifts. Their father said such things were too expensive and intimidating. Zhang Hao added that he did not need gifts to maintain their relationship, saying he would accept kindness, but she could keep her treasures. Yahello nervously asked if he hated her, but the parents reassured her that their relationship had not changed. Qin added that since they were only friends, returning the gifts was the best way to remain that way. Qin grew furious at the cousin for accomplishing nothing. She offered to escort Yahello home, but their mother interrupted, saying she would do it herself. The mother already suspected her daughter's unusual interest in Yahello. As everyone left together, Qin's plan to speak with Yahello privately failed. On the way, the cousin tried to add Yahello to his contacts. Zhang Hao cut him off, saying she was not the type to casually give out her number. Yahello agreed. Qin then warned them not to get too close, openly showing her feelings in front of Zhang Hao, who noticed she was no longer hiding anything. Zhang Hao, however, misunderstood. He thought his sister was also in love with Yahello, amazed at how Yahello seemed to win everyone over. Determined to calm his sister down, he decided to make peace with her. The next morning, his sister woke him for breakfast. Sleepy, he asked where everyone else was. She explained the cousin and others had already left, so it was just the two of them. Zhang Hao braced himself, knowing things at home might not be easy. Embarrassed, his sister asked why he had lied to her. He apologized, and she admitted she had planned to stay angry, but forgave him easily once he spoke up. She reminded him that the future mattered more than the past, and asked him never to hide anything again. Zhang Hao hesitated, knowing he was keeping many secrets, but agreed for now, promising himself he would confess everything after the current troubles ended. His sister felt relieved, thinking her brother was truly kind. At that moment, Zhang Hao told her she no longer needed to hide that she liked Yahello. His sister was shocked and laughed, thinking he was just jealous. She took advantage of his misunderstanding, asking him not to bring Yahello around anymore, or she might not be able to control herself. Strangely, Zhang Hao then mentioned it had been a while since they did special training and asked her to help him. Chin started sweating again, but she still agreed. She applied lipstick on him, saying these moments made her forget all her sadness. The scene then shifted to Wei's secretary, who arrived at a nursery school. Inside, a woman welcomed her. The secretary handed over a paper and said she wanted to know everything about two particular people and their time there. She especially wanted to know if the girl had abducted the boy and how she had convinced everyone to stay silent about it. The woman trembled when she saw the photos of Zhang Hao and Chin. Nervously, she asked how the secretary had found out. The secretary dismissed the question and demanded the full story. Shaken, the woman explained she would never forget those events. She recalled once confronting Chin, asking where she had taken Zhang Hao and what she had done with him. Chin brushed it off, saying they were only playing together. The teacher told her it was unacceptable to take another student without permission and warned she might need to contact Chin's family. But Chin calmly asked if that was really a good idea. She explained that no one had seen them leave or return, so no one knew she had taken him. She threatened that people would likely believe her version of the story instead, and worse, blame the teacher for negligence. Chin pressed her for an answer. In the end, the frightened teacher contacted Zhang Hao's family, who told her he would never return and they were moving away. That ended the issue. The secretary then asked if the woman knew what Chin had actually done when she took Zhang Hao. The woman admitted she did not, but said Chin had referred to Zhang Hao as her little toy. Back in the present, Zhang Hao told his sister he would prove his strength as a man. She, looking sad, thanked him and said she was ready. Zhang Hao asked if she truly wanted to continue the strength training. She was caught off guard. He boldly declared that if they kept practicing, she would eventually start liking men again. His sudden determination startled her, especially since he always seemed so innocent. He began to sweat nervously as things turned serious. He gave her a foot massage, putting in great effort. After some time, he asked her to check his heartbeat, which was racing. She realized the training they had done in the past had not been in vain, and now she only needed one more step to fully win him over. Zhang Hao said they would continue. She saw him preparing for something and asked if he really meant it. He told her not to be nervous and to relax. But now she was the one frightened, realizing no one else would intervene this time. Panicking, she did not know how to react. Zhang Hao, however, found her adorable when she was like this. Smiling, he said he was finally going to do it. But suddenly he felt something strange, sharp pain in his stomach. Clutching himself, he wondered why it hurt so much. She asked what was wrong, and he admitted he was in pain. She hurried off to prepare hot water, disappointed that she had almost succeeded, but also excited that this confirmed his true intentions. She decided that when the time was right, she would confess to him. Soon after, she returned with milk and eggs, asking if he felt better. Zhang Hao said it did not help much and asked if she knew any medicine since she was a doctor. She told him medicines had side effects and that rest would be better. Then she smiled, saying she had a better idea. She climbed onto the bed beside him, placed her hand on his stomach, and said she would give him a belly massage to help him relax. She even put on soft, soothing music. Zhang Hao thought she was incredible, and for a moment, imagined that staying in this world forever might not be so bad if it meant being cared for like this every day. Meanwhile, in another place, the president slammed a hand on the desk, saying something was wrong. The secretary asked what they should do, but remembered Zhang Hao had forbidden her from contacting his family. She hesitated, uncertain, and said she would have to make a call first. Later, Zhang Hao was asleep when Chin looked at him fondly, saying he looked very cute like that. Suddenly, an unknown call came in. She quickly hung up, relieved he did not wake up. Curious, she checked the message and froze. It contained records from her childhood. She realized someone was investigating her. Hugging Zhang Hao's head, she kissed his cheek and whispered that she would never allow anyone to take him away. Meanwhile, at a restaurant, Wei confronted Chin directly. Wei told her to sit down and said she had even ordered her favorite flavor. Chin Chin immediately demanded to know who she was. Wei calmly introduced herself as someone who liked Zhang Hao and told Chin Chin to stay away from him. Chin Chin scoffed, saying she hadn't expected the stalker to appear in person, and warned Wei that Zhang Hao preferred her anyway. Wei then showed her photos, proof that Chin Chin had been following Zhang Hao since childhood. Wei warned that he would be heartbroken if he ever saw this evidence. Chin Chin, however, was unfazed. She said she had only been protecting him, and that in the end, he would belong to her. Wei laughed in her face, accusing her of manipulating her mother into marrying Zhang Hao's father, just so she could become his sister. Wei warned that Zhang Hao was no longer a toy. This time, Chin Chin stayed silent. Then she remarked that if Wei had uncovered all of this, she must be wealthy and powerful. But she also claimed that Wei probably tried to win Zhang Hao over with money and failed, because he would never truly like her. The two stared at each other in tense silence. Wei clapped her hands, amused, saying this behavior matched the girl who had threatened teachers when she was only 7 years old. She then introduced herself as Wei Nan from the Fang Hong Company. Chin Chin immediately recognized the name. Wei explained that she had called her there because she had promised Zhang Hao not to harm his family, but if Chin Chin crossed the line again, that promise would no longer matter. Chin Chin realized she had just been given a death threat. As Wei left, she asked if Chin Chin really knew the Zhang Hao she claimed to love. Chin Chin sat frozen in silence before punching the table in anger. Back home, Zhang Hao slowly woke up and noticed his sister working on the computer beside him. When he asked what she was doing, she just asked how he was feeling, reminding him that she had brought him a hot water bottle. Chin Chin then revealed that while he was asleep, she had read his entire novel. She commented that the world he described felt vivid and realistic. Embarrassed, Zhang Hao admitted he only wrote that way to stand out and earn more money. She told him it felt too real, warning him not to confuse fiction with reality, since real life was different. Handing him the hot water bottle, she told him it would help with his discomfort. Then she hugged him and said that if he ever had problems, he could always tell her. The next day at school, Zhang Hao was with Yahello, still thinking about how oddly his sister had behaved. She had seemed normal during the day, but different at night. Yahello handed him something small, and he thanked her, saying he preferred that over jewelry. She then offered him a homemade lunch. Embarrassed, he told her it wasn't necessary, but she said she wanted to be kind. He told her it was fine as long as she didn't keep giving him expensive things. Yahello asked if his family now hated her because of the jewelry. Zhang Hao reassured her that wasn't true. She admitted she often felt like her presence only made life harder for people. Zhang Hao told her not to worry, reminding her that he valued their friendship. She then said that even if his family disliked her, it wouldn't affect their bond. Zhang Hao explained that his family did like her, they just didn't want any romance between them. Yahello confessed she felt that his sister in particular disliked her and was trying to keep them apart. Zhang Hao thought she was only being insecure and told her not to change herself. She would always be his friend, and she didn't need to prove anything. Brightened, she said she had finally learned how to swim. Zhang Hao suggested they could have fun together over the weekend. On a sunny day, Yahello showed up in a pretty outfit. Zhang Hao thought she looked nice and asked where they should start. She pulled out a thick notebook filled with plans of things to do together. He was surprised by her preparation. She even mentioned that she had bought tickets for a romantic movie called Season of Love. Zhang Hao had expected her to choose a war drama, but she explained that she had picked this one because she thought it was his favorite. Zhang Hao smiled, took her hand, and told her he would enjoy whatever she chose. At the cinema, Yahello suddenly froze, looking nervous. Zhang Hao told her to snap out of it. She returned with popcorn, admitting she hadn't expected so many people to be there. They sat down, and Zhang Hao handed her a drink. She said she was happy, nodding that despite the crowd, they had plenty of space. As she enjoyed the juice, Zhang Hao received a phone call. Annoyed, he declined it, deciding to focus on her instead. As they watched, he thought the movie was terrible, poorly made, and confusing. Then, unexpectedly, Yahello reached for his hand. Embarrassed, she said she had read that this was a step couples took before a kiss. She asked if he agreed. Zhang Hao tried to keep calm. She insisted she hadn't, only that she had read guides saying girls needed to take the initiative. She leaned closer, pulled his face toward hers, and whispered that she liked him and wanted them to be a couple. Zhang Hao gently explained that while he liked her, it wasn't romantic, and she couldn't be so dependent on him. But she held firm, saying she was simply following the advice she had read. Zhang Hao, feeling conflicted in such a public place, suggested they just watch the movie. Time passed and Yuehua looked exhausted. She muttered about the guide again. Curious, Zhang Hao took her little notebook to see what exactly she had been following. Yuehua looked embarrassed as he glanced through her notes. Zhang Hao lightly tapped her head and asked why she hadn't just spoken to him instead of acting this way. She admitted she only wanted to spend more time with him. He decided to confiscate the notebook, saying it was time for them to have real fun. He brought her to an internet cafe. Yuehua stood nervously in front of the computer, admitting her family never let her go to places like this. Zhang Hao asked her not to tell anyone, or he'd get into trouble. He sat down and quickly scored a victory in his game. Yuehua tried to understand, but said it was too complicated. Zhang Hao explained that he only wanted her to have fun, since she already had good grades and a good family. Next, he set her up with a shooting game, teaching her the controls. She quickly got a headshot, and he praised her, impressed by her natural ability. He thought this suited her, given her interest in weapons. When their time was up, Yuehua asked why he didn't put more money in so she could play longer. Zhang Hao warned her not to get addicted. Afterward, they wandered through the arcade, playing rhythm games, dance games, and shooting games together. Yuehua beamed, saying it was one of the happiest days of her life. Zhang Hao told her not to take it too seriously, reminding her they could do this anytime. As they walked, a car suddenly pulled up. Zhang Hao immediately knew it meant trouble. But instead of an enemy, it was Yuehua's butler. He told Zhang Hao that her parents wanted to meet him. At that time, Yuehua's father had already begun gathering information about Zhang Hao. She was smiling, though no one could tell whether it was out of joy or anger, since her daughter had been ignoring family events to spend time with him. Unaware of this, Zhang Hao followed the butler to the mansion. At the door, the butler reassured him not to worry, saying the master never regretted meeting guests. Inside, Zhang Hao was greeted by Yuehua's parents. Her father, looking surprisingly young, asked if she had fun that day. Yuehua said yes. He then told her to go bathe, while he spoke privately with Zhang Hao. The father mentioned that he had heard Yuehua had been very happy lately, and thanked Zhang Hao for that. Zhang Hao replied politely that it was simply friendship. Still, he noticed the thanks did not sound sincere. Then the father abruptly asked how much money he wanted to stay away from Yuehua. Zhang Hao was stunned. Why did it always come to this? The father accused him of making her miss a family gathering. Zhang Hao quickly apologized, saying he hadn't known. The father shifted again, saying he actually wanted to thank him for that. He offered him a card of money, but Zhang Hao refused. He explained he wasn't friends with Yuehua for money, but because she was kind and honest. He admitted their families were different, but his feelings were genuine. The father gave a small smile, saying youth was like that. But then, with a strange expression, he remarked that Zhang Hao had the kind of face that could ruin nations. Zhang Hao awkwardly complimented him back, calling him handsome. Amused, the father told him to continue being Yuehua's friend. At the exit, he warned Yuehua to be more careful in the future. In front of her, he asked Zhang Hao whether they would always remain just friends and never become a couple. Zhang Hao stayed silent, unsure how to respond. Zhang Hao, unsure how to respond to Yuehua's father, finally said he understood and would avoid unnecessary contact. The butler then stepped in, saying it was time for him to leave. Yuehua's father remarked that everything seemed fine, but quietly instructed the butler to keep watch over the two of them. Exhausted, Zhang Hao met Yuehua outside. She asked if her father had caused him any trouble. He reassured her that everything was fine, saying it was probably just fatherly concern. When he checked his phone, however, he was startled. There were many missed calls. Back home, evening had fallen. Chin, as usual, had been drinking. Zhang Hao walked in embarrassed and asked why she was drinking alone. She ignored his question and asked why he had not answered his phone. Realizing she was upset, Zhang Hao made excuses about having his phone on silent. She brushed it off and simply asked if he had fun with his classmate. He admitted he had, but also apologized for ignoring her calls. Chin told him it was fine, but that he had to make it up by spending time with her tomorrow. She reminded him he also had to talk to the streaming platform representatives, saying they could go to the mall afterward to sort it out. He agreed while she thought to herself that, with rivals like Wei Nan and Yuehua around, she would have to be more aggressive. The next day, Song told Zhang Hao she felt bad for calling him out on the weekend. He said it was no problem. She explained that his fan base was growing and he needed to appeal to more people. Handing him a tablet, she showed him a suggestion, acting silly in a kimono for a stream. Zhang Hao immediately refused, saying he was not that type of performer. She then showed a second option, dressing in a night cosplay, which would not require him to show too much skin. Zhang Hao reluctantly agreed to that, but before he could prepare, Song already had the camera set up. With no choice, he dressed in the costume and posed. What he didn't realize was that a drone was filming him, streaming the footage directly into a business meeting. The people in the meeting were impressed by the handsome cosplayer, but Zhang Hao soon noticed the drone and destroyed it. The signal was cut, and Song apologized, saying she would send someone to investigate. But in the meeting, Wei Nan appeared and coldly declared that since Zhang Hao destroyed their drone, he would have to pay the price. Hours later, Zhang Hao was exhausted from all the photos. When someone knocked at his door, he assumed it was his sister, but when he opened it, Wei Nan was standing there with her arms crossed. He tried to shut the door, but she blocked it, accusing him of ignoring her. Reluctantly, he let her in. Sitting on his couch in formal attire, Wei asked why he hadn't responded to her messages in 2 days. Embarrassed, Zhang Hao claimed he had been busy and offered her tea. She laughed, mocking his excuse, then pointed at his cosplay outfit and asked if he really thought this was a good way to make money. He replied that she wouldn't understand, thinking privately that she had once tried to recruit him to stream for her company. Wei asked why he was bothering with streaming when she could pay him far more. Zhang Hao, tearing up, said a man needed to earn his own money. She actually agreed with that, but then suddenly pulled him close, saying they needed to resolve the destroyed drone issue. Before he could answer, she kissed him. Then she teased that the cosplay suited him. Zhang Hao, trying to recover, joked that she would look good with cat ears. Wei smirked and said if he wanted to see her wearing them, he'd have to kill her first. Suddenly Zhang Hao grew bold. Playfully tapping her like a drum, he tried lifting her with all his strength. Wei, impressed but amused, pointed out that while he had courage, his weak body was trembling already. She remarked it was a shame he had failed his counterattack. Half an hour later, Zhang Hao was left exhausted, while Wei still looked radiant. She then shifted the conversation to the red moon, explaining that it only appeared after certain solar eclipses. Zhang Hao grew curious, knowing such eclipses occurred only once every 14 months. She explained her research, suggested another type of lunar eclipse was influencing it. Zhang Hao wondered if this was connected to how he ended up in this world. Just then the front door opened. His sister had returned home. Chin Chin entered carrying groceries, which fell to the floor when she saw Zhang Hao in cosplay. Shocked, she asked what was going on. Zhang Hao quickly explained that it was just for his stream. She accepted the excuse, but thought privately that he looked amazing. He excused himself, saying he was going to take a shower. Chin Chin offered to give him a massage later. As he struggled with the tight outfit, he asked her to help him remove it. Chin Chin happily agreed, helping him undress while noticing his sweaty back. She thought he smelled good and hugged him, saying he looked handsome. Excited, she teased that if he did more cosplay, she might stop liking women. Zhang Hao laughed it off and went into the bathroom. But as he started to relax, he heard a cough. Turning around, he was horrified to see Wei Nan standing there. He quickly told her to stay silent, just as his sister asked from outside what was wrong. He told Chin Chin he had stubbed his toe and insisted he didn't need help. After she left, he turned back to Wei and demanded why she was hiding in the bathroom. She ignored the question, staring at his bare chest and remarking on how unaffected he seemed. Zhang Hao called her strange for acting like a pervert in his house. Wei left shortly after, muttering that his sister was not as simple as she looked. Chin Chin then called out, inviting Zhang Hao to come drink milk and get a massage. Wei, clearly irritated, told Zhang Hao to come visit her the next afternoon, otherwise she would return herself. The next day, Zhang Hao visited the Wei family villa. To his surprise, Wei Nan herself was cooking. He complimented her and offered to help, but she told him it was normal to cook for someone you like. Blushing, Zhang Hao tried to change the subject. As he cooked, his pan began burning, and she pulled his face toward hers, warning him to be careful. Embarrassed, he admitted it had been a long time since he cooked properly. Later, they sat down to eat. Wei eagerly asked for his opinion. Zhang Hao admitted the food was delicious. She then pressed him, asking if it was better than Chin Chin's cooking. He answered that there was no comparison because Chin Chin was family. Wei questioned whether he really believed that. Zhang Hao affirmed that he did and was happy being her brother. Wei grew annoyed, pointing out that if Chin Chin truly valued family, she wouldn't pretend to like women just to stay close to him. Zhang Hao argued that she wasn't pretending. Wei shook her head, calling Chin Chin a strong rival. As they ate, Wei revealed new information uncovered by her secretary. Apparently, Zhang Hao's father's marriage to Chin Chin's mother had been arranged by Chin Chin herself, all as part of a plan to get close to him. Upon hearing this, Wei decided she could not allow such a person to stay by his side. Watching Zhang Hao leave later, she muttered to herself that things would soon change once he learned the truth. Meanwhile, Chin Chin stood elsewhere, gazing up at the sky, whispering that the time was coming. That evening, Zhang Hao returned home and asked Chin Chin why she had left work early. She explained that since their parents were not home, she wanted to arrive first. But her mood soured when she saw Yahello was also there. Yahello greeted her politely, and Zhang Hao told her not to be so formal. Chin Chin, however, questioned why Zhang Hao had brought someone home without telling her. He apologized, explaining that Yahello struggled socially and he wanted to help her. Yahello cheerfully added that she had even changed her shoes for the visit. Zhang Hao took Yahello upstairs, while Chin Chin seethed inside, convinced the girl was ruining her plans. In his room, Yahello complimented the smell, and Zhang Hao told her she could have anything she wanted. To his shock, she rummaged through a drawer, pulled out a pair of Pikachu print underwear, and said she would take that. At that exact moment, Chin Chin entered with juice. Seeing the underwear, she looked crushed. Zhang Hao tried to explain, saying it was a misunderstanding and that Yahello was just socially awkward. Chin Chin coldly stated she understood perfectly. Trying to ease the tension, Zhang Hao told her that Yahello was not a pervert, just a little strange. Chin Chin, deciding to interfere, invited Yahello to her room to watch a movie, claiming she wanted to show her something fun. Zhang Hao tried to stop her, but Chin Chin insisted it was just girl stuff. When he asked if she was interested in Yahello, she denied it. She looked flustered. Suddenly, she grabbed Zhang Hao, pulling him close with her hand at the back of his neck. He was out of breath, and she leaned closer, while Yahello was nearly crushed between them. Chin Chin kissed him. Zhang Hao pushed her away and demanded to know what she was doing. He asked if Yahello was all right. She replied that she was about to die from suffocation. In that moment, Chin Chin finally admitted she had lied to him. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more awesome stories.